Justin FREAKIN, the formidable voice of the culture.
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
This is the Troll live with Justin FREAKIN.
So I gotta tell a story. I gotta tell the story of why I was not here on Thursday night. I gotta tell the story about why I am woefully unprepared here tonight. I just woke up like 10 minutes ago. Canceled Justin and T. We're supposed to have a guest tonight. I don't know. Abby Hoffman was supposed to, Goldie, Abby Hoffman. God damn it. Goldie Hoffman was supposed to be here. Once again, I just woke up. This all started on, I guess it would be first of all, Wednesday morning when we did Prime Minister's Questions and C-SPAN, I didn't know what day it was. I was already suffering from whatever is going on right now. Weed indeed. I'm not high enough. So we're doing C-SPAN that morning. No. It's that night when I did the Troll Patrol that night. I'm trying to think of what day it is, and then I realized we covered the election the night before. That felt like it was days ago for me. So then on Thursday morning, Curiouser asked me if I wanted to go to the weed store, and I'm like, yes, I want to go to the weed store. Do you want me to stay up and we go to the weed store? That's what I did. I stayed up on Thursday morning. We went to the weed store. So, don't fucking know, Warlord. I don't know. I'm getting to that. So it's like, to me, it's like late in the day, right? But to her, it's like first thing in the morning. She got up and we went to the weed store. I stayed up and we went to the weed store. It's Sunday still, Warlord. You and your UK time. So it's like 11 or noon and we're driving down the road. And I'm like, well, let's stop and get Indian food. And she's like, it's still the morning. I'm like, it's my nighttime. Let's have Indian food. So we go to the weed store. We get back. We ended up getting barbecue. So by the time that we get back, we have barbecue. I ended up having like a bong with her. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Somebody, good evening. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a nap before the show. And I ended up like, fuck this. I'm not getting up. And that's the reason why there was no show on Thursday. Tonight, I'm just like, my schedule's off. I stepped in cat vomit right before I sat down. There was cat vomit on my chair. That was one of the things. I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And socks just like projectile vomits all over my chair, all over the floor. So I stepped in cat vomit as I'm trying to get ready real fast. Not high enough for this shit. But hey, at least I went to the weed store and I do have pot with which to get high. I don't think I hit the... So nothing going the way it should. We should have had Goldie here talking about the skit we watched. Who knows? Goldie might have tried. Like, I sent Goldie everything in order to come on. I sent her the link to VOD Ninja. She might be sitting in the room right now going, where the fuck is this dude? That's a possibility. Let me go over there and check and make sure she's not there. God, what a horrible broadcaster I am. She is indeed there waiting on me. Hold on, Goldie. Hold on. I am just a horrible host here. Goldie, you can hear me. I won't be able to hear you until I plug you in over here. I was just telling everybody about like how nothing has been going right for me. So there's our guest screen. I plug our guest cam in. And here in a sec, we should have Goldie. Hey, Goldie.
Oh, God. The lighting is fucked. Sorry, guys. Here, let's see.
Hold on 1 second. I believe everybody can hear you except me.
Here, let me see.
Hey, Goldie, what's going on?
What's up? Okay, so nothing's going right for you. I mean, to be fair to you, just to everyone watching, you did say in the email clearly to join in the waiting room at 1:45. I did not do that.
Around. I think I said around. I'm not a stickler for time.
Around, but I came at 5. That's not around. So I'm going to take that hit. So.
Well, I was like, I don't even know if Goldie is here or not. And I'm like, oh, there she is. Check it out.
That's some good weed.
Haven't even smoked it yet.
Yeah, but you're perma stone from what I can tell. So.
Well, that's what we'll say. That's what we'll go with.
I'm a vino person.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers. Box
Cheers.
vino.
Awesome. Well, so let me tell you the story of how I came across you. Originally, I thought you were some dumb fuck right-winger, and I'm totally like, that is not true at all. Oh, she's like, maybe I am. No.
Could be. It's all relative.
No, it's not. It's not relative. That's not a relative thing at all.
We'll get into that.
So I saw your video, and I'm like, ooh, because that's what we do here. We play like dumb fuck right-wingers, and we make fun of their videos. But then as I kind of saw your online presence, I'm like, no, there's more to this. I've been taken in here, and then we watched the video, and like everyone really enjoyed the setup, and I just like it kind of fell flat. For those of you that don't remember, that was the Dave Chappelle parody of Chappelle's monologue from SNL. And Goldie, you did a great job with green screening it, with doing the character.
I gotta say, that compliment was the best compliment, because it was a bunch of neon green t-shirts taped with masking tape on the wall, and I kept fighting with it, and I was like, stop being a fucking ADD perfectionist. Come on, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it has to be close. Give them a taste of what we saw when we turned it on. I need that state, and I just wouldn't let it go. And that's why it's a week late,
Well, you did a good job of keying everything and making it look good.
I think it's just, you're just saying that because I look like you. The character, apparently, that I was channeling as your classic mega white dude, apparently, according to your live chat, some of your stands, said it looks like you. So
I missed that one.
Yeah. I don't know if that was a compliment, because some people might find that guy good looking. So.
Ooh, I mean, I wouldn't kick him out of bed.
There you go. You see, got one fan.
So I think the thing that we were off about is like, so you probably didn't hear me when I watched Dave Chappelle's monologue and was like, wow, that's incredibly anti-Semitic. You probably didn't see me actually break down Dave Chappelle's monologue.
I didn't. Why didn't you send me that? Because I would have prepared, as every good guest does.
That might have been the week before or something that we watched your skit.
I saw that one, but I didn't see you break down. Oh, okay, yeah.
Because so I found several things about Chappelle's monologue funny, but my God, did he ever play into tropes that don't need to be played into anymore?
Well, you already say tropes. Already that word was like some tropes or something. So people don't know what those are. So just even what a trope is or stereotype, and they're loosely now used interchangeably, but they're not. But they don't know what is anti-Semitic about it. That to me was one of the worst. I'll let you go, but one of the worst comments for me.
Oh no, I want to get into what you were thinking.
Want to talk, so.
So let's go back to like when you watched Dave Chappelle's monologue. What went through your mind?
Firstly, I just right away I heard the tropes. I'm Jewish. I was first as a child. We won't go through the whole history, but I was raised Hasidic as a child, just till as a kid in New York and Crown Heights, and then we moved to Montreal, where we were just regular Jews. And then I went to Vancouver. Now I'm here in California. So I studied a lot of history, both Jewish, not American history. I needed to catch up on shit I wasn't taught. Black history. And I saw them immediately, but I knew what the audience wasn't necessarily seeing. I thought people were laughing, A, because of discomfort, and B, as I say, celeb worship. It's Chappelle, so it must be funny. I really don't get it, but that's the inner monologue of a lot of people. It's funny because it's Chappelle, greatest comedian. And so we say these things, speaking of tropes and mantras, and it colors you. I mean, it colors your opinion, because if he was someone else, we strip back his set. He had some, I watched it again trying to be objective, which is impossible fully, I grant. But when I was watching it objectively, I'll give him the Kyrie callback. Kanye callback. That was I like a good callback. So he's like, he called back for the chain. Now he's not a millionaire. He's been demoted. He lost money, shoeless because of the Adidas. That was like, if I analyze, like, that's funny. I'm asking, when I watched your takedown, and no one's talked about this. People have talked to, like, all the big names and stuff have addressed when the fuck do Jews, we can swear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking swear.
Yeah, when the fuck do Jews ever blame blacks for all the shit they've been through? So that line was weird, and that's why I added the crickets, because he did get silence. And in fact, he says, thank you, one guy who wooed just because, I don't know, Chappelle. So, he's I want to support you. I don't want you to feel like, I don't know, like whatever's out of his mouth, it's gold, right? And people, even people who think, oh, I don't do that. I don't celeb, we do. Everyone does. And I said we. Blue tick near their name, it gets more response, gets more views. It gives an authenticity, whether subconsciously or consciously. So that's bullshit. And I find a lot on the left, you have more people who would think that, like, I'm not like that. I'm really,
we tell people don't hero worship around here, because we've, especially, like, I've been through it so many times that the people that, like, I really looked up to turned out to be really shitty people.
Never meet your heroes, right? That
exactly.
line is so fucking true. Like, I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, and I have the worst run-ins.
And you're Jewish now, isn't that ironic?
Right. Okay, so let's go into some stereotype. Unfortunately, as I like to say, Jews have done well. Everyone talks about how well they some people don't know we came to this country really fucking poor. But in really quickly, in terms of upward social mobility, Jews have done, and people discuss that, not necessarily in anti-Semitic ways, but they've been very successful for a variety of reasons and values. And so they're considered, Jews have money. Well, my parents didn't get that memo. So I just want to say, I have to deal with the stereotypes of, like, fucking Jew in Hollywood. And my beef is, if I'm going to have to deal with that and all the hate that comes with that, at least give me the Jew money. I do not have that. I grew up single parent home mostly, especially in Montreal, food stamps, welfare. There's a lot of Jews below the poverty line. Of course, you're not going to see them. They're not going to be talked about. Yes, we receive charity. Yes, the community is really big on philanthropy and giving back, both to the community, its own poor, but also outside. And that doesn't get enough credit or get recognized. But listen, I don't know how we're getting here, but if you want to hate Jews, you can do it on any side. I know you call yourself, I guess, a leftist. The left.
Why would I hate you? Whoa, that's a big leap there. Why would I hate you? Well, first of all, I would like to point out that, like, the over-concentration, over-representation of Jewish people in the media has to do with the fact that they were locked out of a lot of other areas of society. So they had, and comedy wasn't seen as this high level, high society thing that it is now. No, like,
it just happened like 20 years ago.
Yeah, 50 years ago, comedians were seen as the dregs of society. So there being a lot of Jewish comedians.
We are a humor culture, and that is true. And I actually would say, funny, we talk about with Jews and blacks. Blacks have that too, the black community. And there's a lot of discussion if you go into sociology of humor. It's considered perhaps a survival mechanism for communities that have gone through a lot of shit and trauma. And it's how you survive. The wry, the dark jokes, the depressing shit, the self-deprecating, yes. And the families, the crazy stuff. I've always admired the black community for its prizing of humor and respect of it. But anyway, what I just lost my train of thought, but yeah.
it's totally cool. But I brought it up, I think last week on the stream as well.
No, I got to cut in.
Okay, do it.
It was Hollywood. People do not know, because they don't study history, give a shit. Yes. Do you know why Jews predominate in Hollywood? Because the film industry, quick history lesson, that was my major, gotta use it when I can. So the film industry was New York, which is why they still have film. Everything was New York. What the fuck was California? Nothing. Desert. Edison, who ran, the Edison, ran the film industry, one of the heads in New York, was a huge, virulent anti-Semite, hated the Jews. So they wouldn't hire them. So they went out, these are newish immigrants or whatever, a lot of them were not wealthy, went out to get cheap land in the fucking desert and build studios there. So they were shut out once again. That's the whole history always of Jews, is like, fuck you, we don't want you. And then the Jew keeps trying, please, I'm one of you, I can assimilate. No, fuck you, you're not. And finally, the Jew goes, okay, well, while I try to get accepted, I'm also going to I'm going to fight the racism and discrimination. I'm also going to go and build my own because I still want to do this.
And that goes back to the overrepresentation in banking as well, because like Christians had laws on usury and the Jewish people didn't, and that's why Jewish people could lend money, and it was this.
Well, we're not. It's in the Old Testament. Well, what you call it, it's the Hebrew Scriptures. Old Testament is a Christian-centric way of looking at it because we don't have a New Testament. By the way, I'm an atheist, but I'm saying for Judaism.
Fair enough.
But anyway, so technically,
you got a puppy. You got to show the puppy.
Okay.
We're in the middle of a serious conversation, and
yes. By the way, I just need to address that giant wine glass. Yes, it is a fucking giant. I actually bought that like at the church thrift store, and it like has some winery name. And a friend was coming over, and I just got them. I'm like, this will be funny, like those wine glasses that are almost as big as the bottle. But yeah.
Is it weird that I didn't find it unusually large?
Possibly, yes. Because I even held it up for perspective. Sometimes things look, obviously, if I hold it in, but it is pretty fucking big.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, I'm non-observant, and also I was rushing to get everything. The fact that we're having a show right now is just a wonder, to be honest with you.
Wait, non-observant? What?
Non-observant. I didn't notice that wine glass was comically huge.
See, I'm so in religious mode. I'm like,
Catholic? Yes, I do. I am non-observant when it comes to Jewish culture.
Right. Because people will say that I'm Jewish, but I don't observe. And I was like, you're Jewish? What?
I am not. And you can tell right away. But apparently, the people on the Nazi platforms like BitChute and Rumble, they all think I'm Jewish. So I get a little.
And you just keep trying to get in, right? You're like, listen, I am not. I know it's my hair. You got to cut the hair.
I don't mind. Like, I don't find it a. They just call everyone Jewish. That could be it. I speak like a lib turd, so I'm Jewish.
It might be a compliment because, not because it's good being Jewish. It's always suffer. But I mean, because hey, they're very not into us dissing the white supremacists, I guess. But anyway, so in those scenes, and even any anti-Semitic scene, they often will have what's called a positive stereotype. They're really smart and clever. They have high IQs, and it's always said with this nefarious, like, secret thing.
Oh, they're even like hunched over and shit.
They might be calling you smart, shockingly. So,
are your dogs, instead of being good boys, they're proud boys?
Proud boys. Ooh, one of them is a girl. I mean, I may be sadly misgendering her, but too bad. So I've assigned their fucking gender by just observing it, basically. Good old biology. There's the dick, and there was the veg. That's a whole other discussion.
So we've ironed out the anti-Semitism. We've gotten on the same page here, and then you wanted to come in with some transphobia. What?
No. Okay, my dogs. Maybe she does have this issue. They have another issue that I infantilize them. So lots of issues stacking up. But
better to infantilize than infanticide. So.
Oh no, none of that. Definitely, just very vanilla in my porn taste. But moving back to anti-Semitism. Okay, so real quick, when you were doing the thing down, I still want to ask anyone. If I'm calling their bluff, like, what is funny about, I'm going to give you one line. A better punishment, this is when he says this, is Kyrie should be, make him watch Schindler's List and y'all write your own captions. What the fuck does that mean? For being honest,
God, I see.
Someone explain it, because no one wants to touch it because it's Chappelle and all hail to Chappelle. And I'm just being honest. I liked a lot of his stuff early. This is not one of them.
I should have watched this again because I don't remember that line.
Called Preparation. Yeah, that's what he said, because you thought I was talking about the movie. I made a joke about Birth of a Nation because the Kyrie movie opens up with virulent anti-Semitism. So I'm like, you want to play that? Because the whole thing is to flip it. Would that be acceptable? Like he plays with the words of the actual title of the movie that Kyrie posted. So I did the same. But before that, he said a better punishment. So I said the 12 years a slave line. What the fuck does that even mean? No one's called him out on it. And he just chuckles to himself. And everyone's like, I guess I gotta laugh because it must be funny.
See, I should have watched this again, but I was very ill prepared for today.
If you take my word for it, what is funny about that line?
So the line that really stuck with me, and the line that like didn't land with you that I specifically brought up was the he's in Hollywood and looking around, and there's a lot of Jewish people here. Because there's a lot of Jewish people here doesn't mean they run everything. A lot of black people in Ferguson, and they don't run everything. And the reason why that was so funny to me is because that is absolutely true. The black population of Ferguson, and we learned this during the Hands Up, Don't Shoot, the Mike Brown protest. Was that there's been so many shootings. It's hard to remember,
yes,
but this was back like 2014 in the Ferguson protests.
Right.
That was one of the things that we learned, was that the population of Ferguson was overwhelmingly black, but their police force was being like brought in from the suburbs and was overwhelmingly white, and the city government was overwhelmingly white. So that's why, so Chappelle saying that black people are
a known trope. We control Hollywood and the media and the world, and don't come after me, whoever they are, as he enters.
But he was
is the Nazi. Yes, it plays right into
that's the trope. Yes, but
right.
Then he gave
but
the
he's
example.
Saying that we do control it. Then
he
because
gave
unlike Ferguson, break it down. Who the blacks don't. But the Jews do, is what's left there.
But no, he was saying that there being a lot of Jewish people in Hollywood is not an example of them running everything.
No, he was being facetious there. That is the joke.
I don't
doesn't
think
mean anything, right? Right? Like, come on.
Okay.
Like, that's the joke.
Do you think that Dave Chappelle thinks that Jews really do run everything in Hollywood?
Yes, I do. I think he holds a lot of actually anti-Semitic tropes and beliefs. And I think some of that, I can't diagnose him. I don't know the guy. I think a lot of it, everyone's like, oh, Chappelle's back, from his huge hiatus. Listen, I have family mental health issues myself. Sometimes you have too many breakdowns or you have a giant one. You don't fully come back. I don't think he fully is him, the one that everyone's venerating. And that's fine. We go through phases. We age out of things. He's now a member, I believe, of Nation of Islam. That is anti-Semitic religious group. Now, technically, they would call themselves Muslim, but it's an offshoot, not necessarily mainstream Islam. So different people, it's like Seventh-day Adventists or Jehovah's. Technically they're Christian, but I don't know if mainstream Christianity agrees. So Nation of Islam is virulently, Farrakhan leads them. And I do think that's had influence. And with Kyrie, it's the black Hebrew Israelites. Mm-hmm. That's more of a Christian Judaic kind of cult. So cults abound, and stars like to join them. They are easy prey for cults. Anyway, I do think that might have had an influence. These are just me talking out of my ass, theorizing. I do think he thinks a lot of these things, and he agreed with there's a lot of convergence and beliefs in these anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes, and even just outright fabrications and lies, but that goes with that.
Absolutely.
That both groups have. So I tried to sit through the Kyrie movie. Kudos to
Wow,
him.
You tried to watch it?
Have you tried?
No.
I couldn't. It was a PowerPoint. It's a fucking PowerPoint.
Ooh, that bad production value.
Like, it was painful. I couldn't do it. And I I'm like, I guess I've been too many years out of college. I can't sit through this.
Producer Dave from Echoplex, have you watched it? That's more his thing. He watches conspiracy movies.
Anyway, turns out Kyrie said he didn't watch it, and I actually believe it because there's no way he watched it. I challenge anyone watching, please try to watch 20 minutes of it. First of all, the first 20 minutes is a trailer for the director, so you'll first be like, is this the right hacked download copy? Because I wasn't going to pay.
It might be terms of service. You might not be able to watch it.
No,
Kyrie...
I found the link, and it is part of it because I've seen a review. That is part of the movie, so it is correct. The first 20 minutes is his upcoming projects. I'm like, fuck, is this another fucking bullshit? Like, I got the wrong link. You know, they're like, here it is, and then it's like, damn it, you don't have it yet.
Inwards to Hebrews, is that what it's called?
Hebrew, I forget. But Wake Up Black America.
Yeah, it's odd.
It's basically, and it gives false complete in the first actual 20 minutes, so after the 20-minute trailer, that is part of the movie. Again, quotes, because it's mainly a really shoddy PowerPoint ad. And I know it was made on $8,000, I think, which is low budget, really, really low. I still don't see the $8,000, but anyway. So in the beginning, it's just a bunch of quotes about Jews that are fabrication. Henry Ford, he quotes a known anti-Semite from the Book of Jew, and then it does things like, this is from a reliable source.
So I was getting ready to say, Henry Ford was like a Nazi, wasn't he?
Right, but let's give him a quote, and then it proves that it's true, because I'm putting it in the movie, in the PowerPoint. There's like nothing substantiated, and then after that 20 minutes of Jew bashing and weird non-following, non-secular, and Jews in the slave trade, which has become a recent thing, very untrue, by the way. Very, very tiny Jews amounts in percentage-wise have ever been part of the slave trade. We definitely did not run that one. We barely participated in it among Southern Jews. And in fact, Jews were a big part of the civil rights protests. Anyway, then after that part of the movie, it starts and it talks, basically its main thesis is that all these tribes around the world are the lost tribes. The 10 tribes of Israel, if you remember your...
Well, that's a conspiracy theory, isn't it? That black people are actually the real Jewish people.
Oh, right. But then we are the fake Jews. So, as somebody said, and this is total theft because I don't know who said it, but if I'm the fake Jew, but it was on Twitter, then stop blaming me for killing Jesus. So it can't be both. It can't be both. But they still will shit on us. We did everything, but I thought you said we weren't the real Jews. Like, there's no, again, when you're trying to find logic it's not even circular logic. It's worse than that. It's like, it goes like, I'm trying to follow.
Ration with people that didn't come to these beliefs rationally, and I don't know.
I even asked them to explain it, and they can't. Like, it goes in this, like, I don't know where it's going. That's just me doing how I would describe the logic versus circular logic, which is also frustrating. This is even worse than circular. It's just like, suddenly they're like, and then shoe, and then wine. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like, we're not even speaking sentences. Like, suddenly you just lost. Again, I challenge someone, maybe, clearly I'm not smart enough for that PowerPoint movie. Go ahead, watch it, tell me. But the main part of the movie, and other archaeologists have looked at this, Jewish and not Jewish, what happened to those 10 lost tribes? Because Jews, technically, the theory is we were Judea, and that's why it's, and Jacob line. But we lost through the diaspora and the Romans dispersing the Jews. But we take that name. They've been called different things in history. Hebrews, Israelites, and then Judah, Jewish, which unfortunately now in today's modern times, you can be Jewish. They mean Judaism, the religion, but also the ethnicity or the race. If you want to, there's no human races, but history makes them in sociology speaking. I mean, blacks aren't a real race, but they suffer racism. That doesn't work, which everyone does. Oh, you can't because Jews aren't even a race. Oh, good one. Okay, so then you just hate Jews. Like,
think of it as more of an ethnicity than a religion. But let me catch everybody up for people that may have came in a little late.
That proves already that it's It's not just a religion. It's an old culture. It predates these terms, so it doesn't fit into your little categories of, but is it a nation? But is it a race? But is it a religion? These are modern terms. We're older.
That is correct. That's a great way of looking at it. But this is comedian Goldie Hoffman. She is
I'm
doing
supposed
us.
to be funny, but yeah.
No, you've done a great job. You've been far funnier than the skit that we watched. That was what I liked.
Mine or his. I'm gonna say that's on his.
I liked your point. I didn't think you landed the delivery. I was like, where's the funny? I need the funny to come in here.
I'm going to agree with you, but except that I felt that about the original. So you're only noting it's not funny because I'm doing an effective job. I'm showing you it's not. It's not funny. That's how I felt. But you couldn't see that it's not funny because you're like blinded, maybe you or everyone, by the Chappelle thing.
No. I called out what was problematic about it.
Right, but what's funny about it versus like it's the same. I'm trying to show you it's not funny. Like what is funny about the original?
But back to the joke that I was telling you about. Like the Ferguson has an overwhelming black population, but they don't run everything. You flipped that and said there's a lot of people in Idaho, or there's a lot of white people in Idaho, but they don't run everything.
Right. That's not I will grant you that wasn't the best. That's not a good comparison. But
white people run Idaho. That's
right. But the joke he was making is, but that doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, Jews are in Hollywood, but hey, I'm not saying anything because I mean, there's a lot of blacks and they don't control everything. So I guess Jews don't, right? But he's saying they do. That's the joke.
I guess, I was more.
What else is it?
I guess I was more charitable.
You took it
just
literally,
to think that
the Jews don't run any. It doesn't mean anything. You took it like face value.
Yeah,
that's bullshit. He was saying they do. Like there's a shit ton of, and even just turning on the TV. Imagine hearing, here's a lot of blacks.
I do. I hear it all the time.
But we don't.
We do.
Out.
Yeah. It has.
Right, it's not acceptable. It's
it has
racist.
come to the point to where all Fox News has to say is Chicago.
Right, and we called it out. We say it's racist. The difference is we have a double standard with the Jews. We don't give a shit or see anti-Semitism.
But I did call it out.
No, I don't know what you said, but I'm saying the larger people, most people are defending the monologue and saying it wasn't. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't see the anti-Semitism, and that's why I had to flip it. You don't see it because it's about Jews, and you don't see anti-Semitism, and you don't think they suffer it, and you think they're a privileged community, and then it goes through a lot of lists, and then you get into the victim Olympics and stuff that have nothing to do with the face value of is this anti-Semitic.
Well, he absolutely reinforced several tropes throughout his monologue, and that was the thing that I took issue with.
And he believes them. I argue. And even if you didn't believe them, am I going to go up and a Jewish comic's going to go start confirming black tropes like the ones I was mentioning? So they're different tropes. We don't have the same ones. The ones that Jews have. What's the black one? What are some tropes that they fill our prisons not because there's discrimination, but because they're more criminal.
Yes.
Right. These are tropes. So like that's why my character does that one. Like, but the tropes about Jews, we control things. We have too much money, and we got the money. Any money we have is through nefarious means. We are overly evil. We are pitting communities against each other. I keep doing this because I'm reminded by the the globe, and I'm like, that's what we do
absolutely.
At night around the world. And I forgot to bring my space lasers, by the way, for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I did get some. Light show, fun.
So do you feel that in dealing with these topics, we need to couch it like how I mentioned earlier, that a lot of these tropes come from the fact that like Jews were locked out of society. They were locked out of several of the industries, so they had to go into banking.
Right. And
how do we deal with this?
So it's learning history, but nobody wants to do that. So I don't know. I mean, there's no shortcut I even say, even for the internet age, for college and university, you're not allowed to use Wikipedia. I think it's pretty good. And I know that you have people fighting the edits, but generally just even going anti-Semitism on Wikipedia is too much reading for people.
Oh, Wikipedia is fantastic. Let me go ahead and throw that out there.
I say, honestly, for your self-teaching needs, most of it's okay. Obviously, there is some wars on it.
But there's a reason you can't cite it in a college paper, though. That's different than Wikipedia being accurate.
Right, and people are editing. They have fights. Like, if it's a really controversial topic, like, let's say Israel-Palestine, you have people editing, like, by the second, fighting both sides on topics that, because things are murky and some major issues. So anyway, but for the most part, like, historical stuff is pretty good. I've seen, like, I just searched, like, Wikipedia, anti-Semitism, history of anti-Semitism. And one thing he really attributed to, and no one knows about, and both of those groups, Nation of Islam and the Hebrew Israelites, to use a lot of tropes from, is the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And I had to learn about this. And it's a forgery, a Tsarist forgery about Jews, literally. And it's published to this day. It's making a comeback. It never really went out. Henry Ford used it. Mein Kampf, Hitler referenced it. It's really popular right now all over the Middle East. So this is before, this is, again, before Israel, but this is back. And you got to look up the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. You'll see it right there, that we control. We have a secret cabal. That's where they're getting this from. And it's a known forgery. They say, we published this. Like, we had a meeting. It's like almost like meeting notes. Our book, like, first, the theories of how these things come to be are so fucking stupid. Like, and then they quote you saying, my true nature, I must hide. This is in the Kyrie movie, for instance. I got to call it, not Kyrie movie, but the one he posted. It's like, they give a quote of a Jew going, we must hide. We hide our parasitic nature because, like, yeah, we said that. Like this is so fucking, it reminds me of, like, was it Matthew in the New Testament? Because I had to learn Christian stuff. This is on my own later. He says, his blood be upon us and our children. And that's where you get generational guilt. This is a primitive form of guilt, that you are responsible for what your ancestors did. First of all, we won't get into who killed Jesus, but let's say you want to say the Jews ratted him out, whatever, Judas, great. And I'm responsible. Yeah, because your rabbis at the time said that was cool.
Oh, I thought,
that's the story.
I thought
that's
that they considered that the Jewish people killed Jesus because Pilate said, well, do you want me to execute Barabbas or do you want me to execute Jesus? And the people cheered for Jesus or whatever.
These are scriptures hundreds of years later, but let's go with their story. And then he says that apparently it's only in one of the Gospels, which I understand in Christian thought produces more debate if it's not in all four, but whatever, where he says, one of the head rabbi or whatever, says, let this be upon our his blood be upon us and our children and our children's children. And so they've used that quote for centuries to do blood libels, burn them to the stake in the Middle Ages, all of that, crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, the pogroms, Jesus killers. And they say we're allowed because they said in our book, ours, the Christian book, you guys gave us permission to hold you guys guilty. First, like, it's so fucking stupid. Like, ancestral guilt. Like, I'm not responsible if my own sibling does something. I don't do the time for him. So, but many parts of the world, that because we evolve as humanity, hopefully, that is a part of a justice system, that's collective guilt, that you are, guilt by association or honor codes. So that still is, we have some of that in our society where you do get affected by the actions of those around you. But it comes from, but back then and in some societies, you literally will be punished. You might be raped for something your brother did because he stole. And this is part of the justice system. So again, I go back to the Matthew thing and let his blood be upon us. And it's that idea of ancestral guilt, which is so barbaric and I don't even want to say part of a justice system. And also, that's your book. And of course, you're going to give us that quote. And even if we did say it, I don't care. He's wrong. Like, there's so many levels. But anyway.
I mean, I don't want to get into the validity of mythology at this point in time. Like, that's like...
who cares at that point? I even say, even if it, what does that have to do with me? But I think that this is a big part of modern anti-Semitism, and I didn't used to think that. And I'm like, come on, it's not. There, the Nazis changed that. You study this in history. Went from religious anti-Semitism, deicide, Jews kill Jesus, God, which never made sense to me because apparently, like, he was supposed to for your sins.
Exactly.
But let's leave that again. Logic and religion, not great. But let's leave that aside. It went from that, you learn this, to modern racism. This is not just for Jews. They started at the turn of the late 1800s and mid 1800s, measuring like with calipers and going around the world. Like it was part of anthropology and like measuring IQ and jaws and that. And then the Nazis took that on, of course, and they had their measurements, and it became what's called scientific racism. So for a long time, people thought religious racism is done, like even the anti-Semitism. And I now very recently believe it's still the basis. I think humans were still our foundations. So they don't know why they hate it, but it stems from this original sin, but not the original sin of Adam and Eve, but like the Jewish sin of deicide. I think it's still there, even by non-religious people. They don't think it is. I think it's a subconscious thing. Again, it's my theory, that it's this, you're raised in a Christian society, even people are like, but I'm not Christian, but you were raised it, and it's baked into the fabric. And it even informs scientific racism and anti-Semitism, which is when the blood, for the first time in history in the Holocaust, you cannot convert out. I can't say, well, okay, I'm Christian, I'm joining. It's your blood, got Jewish blood. So I really get annoyed when people say, but it's not even a race. We didn't make it that, you did. That's history. So like or when they're like, Semitism, I can't be an anti-Semite because I'm a Semite, because it comes from the word of the Semites, so the Semitic languages, and that would include Arabs and then anyone, the Africans who are saying I'm the real Jew, whatever. So what kind of stupid semantic is that? First of all, we didn't create that term. A non-Jewish German sociologist in the 1800s made that term specifically for the hatred against Jews. So you want to change the term? Great, I would love to. Judeophobia, Jew hatred, I sometimes will use. But it's like, it doesn't matter what we do, then they attack the very word so that we can't complain about it. And then you're just left going, I guess they're just attacking our places. But you're right, it's not anti-Semite, it's not anything. Move around, move along, nothing to see here. And so then if you can't even name the thing you're facing and you can't complain, then it goes on. And then you're shit on when you do complain. You can't win. See, they're canceling. Then I say nothing. It just festers, and it like a cancer. It's going to metastasize. But then you complain, and they're like, "See, the Jews always complaining." You can't win.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. Once again, we're speaking with Goldie Hoffman, a comedian, Goldie Hoffman. She did a skit that we watched on the show the other day. What was the response to that skit? It was a parody of Dave Chappelle. What did you? The comments seemed lively. So how did people receive your skit?
Oh, well, other than hey, one guy went down the rabbit hole of like, let's reenact, some murder of you or Gaz, whatever.
Whoa.
Just stupid, anti-Semitic things like, oh, her name's Hoffman. What a coincidence. Several people have written stuff like that on the various videos because there's also like clip versions.
Is Hoffman a common Jewish name? Like, I didn't even...
It's actually one of the Germanic ones that could be both Jewish and not Jewish. And it's nothing to do with the spelling, because that's just when you immigrate how they would transliterate, whether it has two N's or F. Sometimes people are like, that's the Jewish one. It's not true. It can be either. And then I think in German society, there were laws about some names like Jews couldn't have, especially as time went on. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the, but even so, they're saying, oh, she's Jewish. Like, yeah, that's the point. Like, I don't know what's the coincidence here. I'm missing your thing. Like, yeah, I'm pointing out the double standard. You're like, Jewish. The three
Did
brackets.
you receive a lot of anti-Semitism in response to it?
Yeah, but like, just, they're stupid. That's what it, or they're just saying, you're just the Jew, you're always, this is exactly what Chappelle and Kyrie are talking about. So they'll bring that one up. Once what I just said is that you can't complain about the racism your community is facing. because then you're called out for how dare people have accountability for that when it comes to Jews. But if the anti-Asian hate, the anti-black hate, we were all out in there going, don't do it. Don't. And then crickets when it's the Jews. And when somebody does speak out about the Jews, like, who cares? Like, fuck them. And they're always complaining. So the double standards, again, and that's my big thing. Jews are held to different standards completely. And when you're talking about double standards, or another word for that's hypocrisy, that is not justice. That's not just. So once you're in double standard land, you have to pull back and ask, is this, if I flipped it? And we all have to do this, like the walk in someone's shoes thing, and really ask yourself, oh, I do see it. And I have a friend who did say that, and he happens to be black. And it was one of the best comments I got, but he did it as a voice message going, I saw it, he shared it. And I said, I got to tell you, speaking of profiling, I did not think that you would like it. And he goes, you know what? And he shared it on his story. He's a black actor, and he's not a comedian, but he's funny. And he said that I laughed at the Dave Chappelle monologue, but then I saw yours. And this is literally, now I'm going to be verbatim. And he said, and I realized she's 100% right. No, it's not funny. It's really not funny. And I said, I really thanked him, not because he's going on my side. Obviously, that's nice to hear. But he said, you did a thing that people don't do, the cognitive dissonance, and wanting and admitting that not only are you wrong, maybe potentially saw things wrong or didn't see things. Because I'm not accusing anyone. We all fall for shit. Not a saying, but it's to double down and say, no, it's not true. That's my problem. Like, here is the evidence, or go look for it, but they don't want to. And also the celebrity thing. He goes, I love Chappelle, but I think more and more, he was saying that he's made change. It's becoming harder and harder to defend him for various reasons. And this is tough. Like Chappelle, especially as a black, I can't speak for him, as a black individual, a black comedy figure. I mean, he's beloved by all of the world, America, but especially for the community, he's a hero. So to say that, I said, more than just agreeing with me and seeing my point, because even if you didn't, that's on you, but you really engaged with it. You asked yourself honestly, did I see this wrong? Would I be okay with turning on SNL, national show, millions of people around the world, it's on a regular network, and they're going, the Jew, haha, haha. And even if you dissect, you're like, but this joke is this, the joke is this. Great. What are people seeing? And could I do, and you have to be honest. No, maybe there's a double standard. Maybe I'm saying something is we got to engage with this. Is there a double standard? Are they damned if they do, damned if they don't?
Well, I do find that interesting about the idea of being shut down, because especially Chappelle talks about, his free speech and he should be able to say whatever he wants. And he's part of this tangentially the IDW, the intellectual dark web, where they're all being censored for their ideas, and Jordan Peterson is crying because he can't be on Twitter and shit. They're all.
Well, I'm not for censorship. Otherwise, I couldn't do my video. We couldn't have this discussion. So I do have strong ideas about free speech and liberalism, classical liberalism.
Oh, this is a conversation, because I don't think they're advocating for free speech. I think they're advocating to not be criticized.
Right. They're advocating for my free speech. Mine. Me. Alone.
Yes.
Don't you come after me. And that's bullshit. That's dictatorship crap. Like, that's not acceptable. I would agree with you that they, again, double standards.
I especially see it on the right, where they're like, follow our page because big tech is trying to censor us, and it's a marketing ploy more
fake
than
news. All these libtards. Yes, but I do say it goes on both sides. I don't think, I'm not a centrist. I'm not a right or a left winger. I'm an issue-based person. So you will have to plot my issues. You give me an issue, toss it out, abortion, I don't know, anything.
Zionism.
Yeah, so we could go into each one, and I try to strip. It's hard. We're all raised in this political spectrum paradigm in modern worlds for the last, this 100 years. I don't even know how long, and they've decided what's right, left. Remember, these are arbitrary terms, but people get attached to their team. Yes, they get attached. It's a horseshoe.
No, left and
You
right,
can become
they
a
mean something
left-wing fascist.
specific.
You can be a right-wing fascist. This is a
No, you
human-
can't be a left-wing fascist. 'Cause
See, I
fascism
agree.
is specifically a right-wing ideology.
Well, that's how it's been described. But
be
I
a
would
left-wing
argue-
authoritarian.
Right. Great. So we give it a term that maybe sounds better. I don't know if it sounds better, but to me, that's the same. I would argue, but as you're right, that in our current language, we have labels that go for the right for the left, and I'm calling into question those labels. And I want people to just strip. It's really hard, but like, don't think, okay, what's the issue that we're talking about? Let's say it's healthcare, national healthcare. Don't think what's the right view and like right wing versus left wing. Just deal with the issue. But people can't.
Well, I'm going to
They
tell
need
you
to
the
know where
solution
it's
to the
gonna land
issue,
them.
and the solution to the issue is a left-wing ideology. It's a because insurance works the best when everybody's in the pool, so a universal single-payer healthcare system is going to be most
So that would be
efficient.
considered a left-wing view. But are you going there because that's what the leftist gurus and people you like say, or you've looked at the evidence, and you're like, well, this is ethically correct? Like for me, that I would share that. It is also just more about ethics and running a good society. And
Well,
I don't want
I backed it up with that's the most efficient way to run a healthcare system. Wasn't
right,
a
and
left-wing thing.
you're getting raped by your insurance companies. So I mean, let's not
Absolutely.
even. But that is not because that puts me technically, okay, for plotting Goldie. That's a left wing. But oh shit, you said this thing. That's great. I don't care. Fuck the spectrum. It's like a board game. Throw the board game.
No, it's
off
it's okay to say like, oh, I subscribe to left-wing policies because like right now in our current system, we've gone so far with the free market laissez-faire mentality, the Reaganomics, that the prescription for what is
trickle down that
ailing-
never trickles down. But
yeah,
yes.
the prescription for that is left-wing policy at this moment.
Well, you see, you're getting attacked. I don't want to call it that. You could say it's
But that's what it is.
more social welfare benefits. Once you start saying, I'm left wing, right wing, you're going into groupthink mode. It happens to smart people. It happens to others because they start to not want to lose their tribe. And I've seen it on both sides. And sometimes I hold the left more responsible because
But left-wing
this real
philosophy is
left,
about
right,
collectivism.
the left has a higher IQ. I'm willing to say that. And they should know better. Sometimes I feel like you fucking slip into this and you're the side that has the higher education. It should know when you're falling into shit. But you don't. So in a weird way, it's even worse when left-wingers go to me. Because I do think, I mean, right-wingers get upset. But I'm like, the left is over the all smarter. Like if you did an IQ test or whatever, a magical IQ test. IQ tests are flawed, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
On the whole, they are the smarter side. So how much more egregious when they fall into this shit?
But you're talking about fall into what shit? You're not really defining anything.
Groupthink, censorship, blasphemy
What
laws.
censorship?
So they do. I mean, we have that. I mean, I'll let you lead into your discussing. I mean, the whole Twitter files thing. That's a whole other issue. But when you get
I'm interested to know what censorship the left participates in.
certain words are verboten. You can't talk about certain shit. They've done studies. Everybody's self-censoring. Nobody can speak their full mind anymore. They feel a pressure that they will
Anymore?
or maybe they never did. I don't know.
Have you ever been able to just say whatever the fuck is on your mind? I mean, we
I'm
live
not
in
talking about hate. I'm saying they're labeling things. Like you when I was joking about my dog's gender, for instance. You can't even discuss this. We can't discuss issues, thorny issues. People get really upset, even just discussing this black Jewish thing. We have to discuss this shit.
We are discussing it, Goldie.
Right, we are. But I mean, many topics are off the table. You cannot go there. And people are censored for saying things.
I don't think that's true at all.
Well, absolutely. People have been fired. They've been banned off Twitter. And it goes, again, both ways. Apparently,
For
Elon
saying
Musk
things
brought
that may
people
not
back.
represent the values of their... Because...
It's very arbitrary.
Okay, so you're blaming this on some sort of mentality on the left when I'm like,
No, I think it's on
a
both
capitalist
sides.
incentive.
I think the left doesn't think it does it. That's my problem with it. You're right. It's totally on the right. They're such hypocrites. So you can't say anything the truth. Meanwhile, I can't say they censor the fuck, they're religious nut jobs. That's that party. But then the left thinks it doesn't do that. And they do. They have their version. And they have their gurus that they don't realize they're worshiping. And it's a bit like a secular religion.
You're making a bit of a hasty generalization here, and I'm trying to like pin down on what you're saying.
Well, I said, for instance, that's just a recent topic because that's in the news. Gender and sex, big issue right now that people are not being open about, and they don't feel they can. I don't even feel I can be fully open. I'm being honest. I censor myself, even just on a discussion. Just you're not allowed to even hold the debate about terms, and it keeps changing every day. But you can't touch it. And my problem is I had a religious childhood. I wasn't allowed to watch TV. I wasn't allowed certain books. I wasn't even allowed green eggs and ham because ham's not unkosher. And I'm feeling like we're back in that. And I'm like, why doesn't the left or secularists, forget left, right, see this? Is it because you see it so clearly because you were in a cult sect, whatever you want to call it, cult days. I don't know, but people don't see it. They are engaging in these practices with like morality police.
What is it you can't say? I want to know what you can't say. Please say what you think you can't say.
Okay, I'm giving you that exact example, for instance. You can't discuss gender and sex.
We do it all the time here.
No. There's things that are clearly, if you're going to have a real discussion about evidence and science, and it gets labeled as transphobic. Lots of people who are, in my opinion, are not transphobic are getting labeled as transphobic.
What, you're on the J.K. Rowling train or something?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. That's from the left. That is from the left. And so they have to own, but they're not owning it.
Could it be that what she said was wrong? Like I don't play like a he say. Yeah, once again, it's J.K. Rowling doing science. What did she say then?
Because I've read her thing. I don't know what. I cannot see for the life of me.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to the celebrity. I just know tangentially that J.K. Rowling has been canceled. I pay attention to the news.
And it's because of these secular blasphemy laws.
But did she say something that was offensive?
Why don't you go see? In my opinion, no, it did not. It was not transphobic. And if it is your opinion, let's discuss why and how, just like we just did with the Chappelle thing. Like, why are certain things off the table?
But aren't we doing that? Isn't she doing that?
No, but they've trying to cancel her. They cancel people. They've been
once again, like people being mean to her on Twitter is
virulent. Women are held to a much worse.
That's true.
Punishment, and that's a known thing, especially in the online world. You know, you can read articles about the dearth of.
I totally agree with you on that. But this is a separate issue.
Attacks, I don't just get attacks like from what I said. It's like, fuck you, bitch! I'm gonna rape your fucking ass, and I'm gonna fuck. Like, it gets
absolutely
sexual element. I had some guy gave me a drawing, commissioned it, so there's a compliment there of me sucking Hitler's dick, and that was from years ago. And that was over a debate. I think that descended. It was on Facebook. We were discussing the latest skirmish in Gaza and Israel and Palestine. So, you know, thorny issues, Zionism, and fellow comic. Well, I mean, I had given him a spot on a show, but anyway, commissioned it. And I will say, I at least usually when you make a caricature, you kind of exaggerate their ugly features. It's just, I looked very cute. I'm just saying. So there was, and he paid. Presumably, he said, I didn't even draw it. I had another artist do it. You commissioned it? But anyway, just giving you, and that nothing to do with, like, Hitler didn't even come up or like anything. And now we have to get into and Satan was fucking me from behind. That's the image. I have it saved somewhere for posterity.
But I think these are other topics besides, cancellation.
I'm just saying,
these
this is the kind of salacious, this is the kind of bullshit that is a female, and if you're Jewish, they're going to add the layer. You get much more virulent hate, and it's been studied. There's a male journalist who wrote about this, that he took over a colleague's Twitter while she was on vacation, and he goes, I've seen my share. I mean, I'm a gay man, but this was next level. That's what he was saying.
I totally get that, but that is a separate issue from you saying that you're not allowed to talk about things.
She isn't. That's her crime. She just can't talk her opinion about it. And she wrote
But
a letter.
you're saying it's specifically this issue, but like my fucking inbox is full of death threats as well. Like it's just
No, it's not just this issue. I'm saying what we're talking about: people getting canceled or not being allowed to host a debate. No platform, no debate. When I hear no debate, you know how
But
totalitarian.
I don't think people are doing that to you.
People do, not to me. This is being said by the left. You'll have speakers canceled. That is anti-free. That is insane.
Whoa. Okay, Goldie. Once again, this is a history thing. Okay, like take Charlie Kirk and TP USA. This happened at like Berkeley just like last week. He does
I
this
don't know
often.
who, but they're always canceling speakers. It's just something as a practice I'm not for.
So like Turning Points USA goes and Charlie Kirk speaks at these campuses, and he says purposely incendiary things. This is a tactic that George Lincoln Rockwell, the father of the American Nazi movement, you can Google him and check it out. So he used to go to college campuses, say purposely Nazi shit, and get students to protest him. And then he would use that in order to get more media attention and go, see, they're trying to shut down my free speech. What you are doing is furthering a Nazi tactic. That's what Charlie Kirk and them are doing right now.
They do cancel speakers.
Students at a college campus protesting is their free speech.
Right, but they get a university to cancel a visiting lecturer or a speech. We're not even talking about like, David Duke or something. I mean, to them,
okay. Like I participated in this when I was in college. We got Bill Cosby canceled. We didn't want because this is right in the heart of the Hannibal burlesque going viral this was like 2013 for ragging on him for being a rapist. And we got Bill Cosby canceled because we as students do not want our money. They are getting a fee. A group on campus sponsors them, but they're getting money from our tuition to come and speak on campus. And we didn't want a rapist. Is it
your tuition?
Huh?
Is it your tuition?
Yes.
Often, sometimes it's a private, even off-campus event. People will.
Well, now we're moving the goalposts, Goldie.
If they disagree with them, they will get it canceled. That leads you down into that.
Now we're moving the goal. You're going to something completely different. I don't even have an example of. I don't know these off-campus events.
It doesn't matter. People call for the cancellation. I think that's a totalitarian tactic. Deal with it. Debate the person.
I don't think I don't know who's calling for the cancel other than
groups will get people canceled. Are you denying that speakers have arranged tours and then they're canceled because protesters who disagree with
you're saying arranged tours, but I just showed you how TPUSA is harnessing a Nazi tactic in order to get publicity and to get you to say they're trying to cancel them.
But you can accuse it of being that tactic. I don't know about that particular case. I'm telling you truthfully, you self-admitted that people get together who disagree with an invited speaker by so-and-so group or whatever, and they no platform them. They do not no debate.
I don't know what you mean no platform.
That's
because
what they're
the Charlie Kirk thing speaking at the campus last week, that went ahead without a hitch. Like I don't.
Okay, are you denying that there are speakers that are canceled? Because that's
usually it's because protest gets out of hand, not because like people are like, oh, we need to cancel this person. It's because this guy's a Nazi and he shouldn't be on our campus. And once again, you're playing into.
Then everybody's called a Nazi, and then everyone's called transphobic, and then everyone's called the misogynist. And this is where you get into the slippery slope. Who decides? Who's the great censor?
But we just had a whole conversation about how you saw anti-Semitism in a monologue that was on a major network.
And I didn't call for a cancellation.
I don't think the people you were accusing of calling for cancellation are actually doing that. I think they're voicing their free speech.
After we're done here, I'll send you plenty of speakers whose platform was taken away. They're canceled. Even just appearance on a TV show was taken away because someone said, "I don't."
Kevin Hart didn't get to host the Oscars because he said something homophobic.
But that's not. I'm talking about academics and researchers who might counter a certain opinion that people are already committed to. And to me, it's particularly egregious.
Okay, why might people be committed to an opinion? Could it be that people are committed to a position because they have seen the facts?
Sure. And I would argue a lot of them, they have not. They've not engaged with it. In fact, they say, don't even read it. I've read it for you.
You are making a lot of generalizations I don't think you're allowed to make. You're doing a logical fallacy.
I'm not. That's what happens. They literally tell you. In fact, on the J.K. Rowling thing, they say, don't read it. I've read it for you. And
don't read what?
I'm the priest, and I'm going to tell you what's in the Bible. Just like, you couldn't read.
Wait a minute.
And I'm going to tell you, because it's verboten, it's blasphemy, and it goes against our principles right now in left wing, or if it's on the right wing politics.
I think you are making up a straw man right now.
I'm going to have to give you examples off the top of my head. I don't have, but people have been academic. They cancel their speaking tours. They don't agree with what they're going to say before they've even spoken. But
I mean, are we talking about like Douglas Murray, the race scientist that you were just referring to earlier?
Right, but have you ever studied the philosophy of free speech, just in general? And why people
philosophy that is not a class that we took when I got my philosophy degree.
No, but did you ever like look it up and what are some views? I'm just going.
What do you think free speech is?
Like even what John Stuart Mill and Rousseau have talked about.
What do you think free speech is? Well,
I'm saying one of the things that I've grappled with, for instance, with hate speech, that, for instance, the ACLU famously even defended back in the day some Nazis' right.
They've defended Nazis recently.
Right.
ACLU is wonderful. Go give money to them.
But what is the point of that? Like when you engage with that and you learn about it, you're like, why should I allow? And we can get into hate speech is where it gets murky. But why? What's the benefit of free speech? Because you're supposed to, and I don't know their quote. If something is really wrong and racist or wrong, you show the folly of their ways by airing it out. Because guess what? When you ban it, it doesn't go away. It festers. They're going to have those talks in person. You air the fucking laundry out and you attack it and show why it's stupid and why it's wrong. But you can't if you're not going to engage in the discussion. So, and then it just festers in this community. And then we get Proud Boys and everybody goes, oh my God, how did January 6th happen?
Goldie.
We didn't see this coming. Of course you did. But if you can't discuss, everyone's going off in their silos and discussing shit. Now, I do agree.
PPUSA, Charlie Kirk's organization, has millions of dollars being funneled into it by these right-wing organizations.
Okay, wait, look, there's this comment. Right-wingers are evil. They don't deserve to have any speech. See, once you label, don't you see that side could label you that way? Like, how do you think Iran is the way it is now? They have
because of the CIA.
Yeah, but you aren't allowed to do and say certain things because it is deemed un-Islamic. So we have our version. This is deemed. But
this is
incorrect.
Because the U.S. backed a coup against their democratically elected president, and the pendulum swung towards a far right totalitarian government.
Well, we can get into a lot of that. A lot of the left wing has been in bed with Islamofascists for many years. That is just a valid thing.
What?
What? Ayatollah. And of course, classic dictatorships, they were the first to get purged. Thank you for being useful idiots. Same with women and stuff. Thank you. You thought we were actually going to give you a place in this? And yet we do it over and over again. And no one sees it. So we don't want to call a spade a spade. We have our teams, and our teams say certain things.
Wait a minute. I was the one trying to call a spade and call a Nazi, and you're like, oh, no. We got to let them speak.
And call them a Nazi and explain why.
And you say that's trying to cancel them.
No. If you get a speech canceled by a speaker, and often we're not even going to that level of does it incite, is there hate speech? And that's a hard thing philosophically the governments have grappled with. I lived a lot in Canada. They have hate speech and you can't incite. And I agree. It's a hard conundrum. I don't have all the answers. When you start to get high up in that philosophical and social policy, it's really difficult. But some are not. Some are academics that are just going to speak about certain things you might not like. You might find them a little misogynist, a little sex. So go there. Ask your question and tell him, I think, well, it's not really questions.
Charlie Kirk isn't an academic, and he's being
you're giving an extreme example. I'm saying
I'm giving you the example of the news stories you are constantly you say speaker gets canceled at campus, and it's going to be Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens. It's going to be people that are doing it specifically to get that reaction from you. They're doing it for publicity.
So don't do it. Why would you fall into that? Let them speak.
I don't.
Go there and then not shut it down, because you let people speak. That's how you have a totalitarian state. It's easy to slide into where you become the great censor. This is wrong, and I have the correct view. Don't you see how that can?
But that is
you and secularism.
The students protesting at a campus don't have power. We live in a capitalist society.
You bring your speaker. People have to be able to engage in thorny issues, and if not on university.
Letting Charlie Kirk go up and talk about race science is not engaging in a thorny issue.
Sorry, I'm reading the thing. Are going into the business. I think when you decide en masse, certain views are just verboten, and I'm not talking about
who decided en masse that certain views are verboten.
I'm giving you I gave you an example. So certain pro-Israel speakers have been canceled. Netanyahu, famously, head of state,
probably should be.
But that's, you see, if everyone's canceled, you can't engage with these people. I went to speak. I remember I went to a really great, and there was a lot of protests, but it went ahead with a Saudi ambassador.
Do you agree?
A girl got up and said, "How dare you?" And she spoke about this fire that women. The girls in the school were forced to go back into the thing and put on their hijabs. And she held him to that. And that cannot happen if we didn't have him there. And that, to me, I started to see a lot of the theories of free speech. You have to air things out because people are going to believe this shit. If you don't tell them and engage with it, why it's wrong.
But you're not seeing that these people with nefarious ends are being buttressed by all this right-wing money and are like, that's how Charlie Kirk is able to go and do all these speaking tours.
Okay, someone just mentioned a professor at Berkeley, Professor Buckley being, her speech was canceled and rescinded because they are in some women's liberation front, and I believe that is a group that is very what people call gender critical. So that person was canceled, the speech.
But
You're not hearing other points of views that we go into university and we're just going to like pat ourselves in the back and keep continuing the views we already have.
But every time I go and find one of these examples, I go and see what like the person actually said, and the universities had to disavow them because it was horrendous.
Yes, so go see what it is. So why are they canceled? Because
you understand a university doesn't have to give people a platform.
Right. But
Twitter doesn't have to give people a platform.
Yes, but if a group is inviting them and taking care of the fee.
But if the group, if the group is purposely doing it to troll.
Saudi ambassador, but I gained a lot by hearing and watching.
We're 5 people that are in a young conservative TPUSA group, and we're going to say we need equal representation to the rest of the campus. So we want some of the student fund to bring Charlie Kirk in. You're not like they're not doing it in good faith.
In funds, you can have a debate, but people have been canceled merely for who they are. Someone in your comments said, in this case, it wasn't anything the person had said. It was that they were on the board of that particular group. I
don't know the specific instance, and that's why I hate it when people use anecdotes.
Okay, but when I told you about J.K. Rowling, for instance, you said, well, I don't want to read what she said. So which one
I didn't say that, Goldie.
You said, I don't want to go into he said, she said. We should.
Because I don't know what she said.
Right.
I have no idea. And right now, specifically in our conversation, I can't use it as evidence because I don't know what she said, and I'm not educated enough.
Transphobic and hated so much, and no one will say what she said.
I would assume. Fuck, am I gonna have to look it up? And
Yes.
also, like, I still don't
That's the thing.
understand.
We gotta look this shit up and engage with the argument. Is it correct that this person is hateful? Is it? Maybe it is.
It's just, it's not my thing. I don't go into
But I
celebrities
think a
and,
lot of
and
people,
drama.
no, but to your point, I think a lot of people on campus, and you particularly had your issues with Cosby. I'm sure you knew why you were fighting for that. Many people get caught up in these movements and their leader, and it's just, we're canceling this
Hasty
person.
generalization.
Right, but both sides. would
No,
be like,
you just
"We hate
committed
this guy.
a logical
This is a hardcore
fallacy.
leftist group." I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, do a
False
survey.
dichotomy, like not both sides.
They do.
If
They
I
both-
can articulate my point and tell you, and you're like, oh, I agree, in that instance, it's good.
No, I'm saying that most people, when they demand cancellation,
I'm saying you can't make
A
that
lot of them
statement
have
because
not
you don't know
engaged
what's
with
in
the
most
person's
people's
work.
heads, and
they
you
have
are.
not, well, I'm telling you, they didn't. I'm calling their bluff. They have not engaged with the person's work, and even so, they don't.
You
often
say
know
is
that
you
the
haven't
person's
engaged with their
work.
argument.
You know, I don't think there's much engaging with the argument, particularly if
You're
gonna,
speaking for them when like you.
Oh, we can't even hear their argument because they've canceled them. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You can't get to show why something is so stupid by going. You're invited to hear both sides.
Ma'am,
If
I
not-
assure you, you can go and read and watch Charlie Kirk all fucking day long.
Forget about Charlie Kirk. I'm saying because I'm not familiar particularly with that exact example of why that there were cancellation.
Let's
Of
see,
what
here's an example I am familiar with that Ram Jam threw out. Dr. Robert Malone, the inventor of mRNA technology. He's not the inventor of mRNA technology. That's another
he said that he was part. I know about that guy. Like, he said he was part.
He
of
is
the
a nut job who doesn't deserve a platform because he
But
is an
who
idiot.
decides that? That's what I'm saying. Who's saying?
Well,
I
we're in
don't
a
want
capitalist
your
society,
ears
so it's whoever owns the
hear this.
platform.
But then, don't you see how one day there could be a leader who thinks you, and your way of life, and
That's
are
a slippery
gay
slope
people,
argument.
that is unacceptable. Once you allow the principle of
But we're not allowing the government. Once again, this is back to what free speech is. Free speech is the government not being able to imprison you for what you say.
It's
When
not
we're-
just that. Society decides.
No,
what
that's
the-
exactly what it is.
That's fine. You decide as a society what the punishment.
No. Alex
You know, back in the day,
Jones
you
hasn't
might be
been
beheaded,
canceled.
off with their head. Like right now, I would
Ma'am,
argue
ma'am,
that's
ma'am,
not the
you-
only punishment.
You are way off base because what we are talking about in terms of platforms here is like Alex Jones has not been canceled. His free speech has not been stifled in any way because he can go and host his own ass on his own website. He has
And
been
people
taken
shouldn't
off of
believe him. He's a
YouTube.
fucking moron.
He has
A
been
big
taken
part
off of
society.
YouTube where he doesn't have access to their algorithms, where he doesn't have access to their hosting because they own the service because we live
And
in a
they're
capitalist
private
society.
company, and they absolutely can do that.
Yes.
And he's a fucking moron. See, for me, from a philosophical point of view, why free speech, even dumb free speech, is because who decides what is too egregious?
I'm telling you who decides. Whoever. We live in a capitalist society. So now once you get out of like banned from YouTube, banned from Twitter and everything, Alex Jones gets to go and host his own website.
But to me, when he speaks, it should convince you what a fucking moron this thing is. So when he's
But
hearing
you've got
it out,
access to him. You
I
can
would
go and watch
debate
him.
and make him look like a fucking moron. 'Cause that's what he is.
Nobody canceled him. He still exists. He still hosts his
Right, but it's not. But I'm talking the cancellations that are most egregious for me are on university campuses because I really think you have those 4 years to learn and hear different points of views, and it's really scary. That's where you get into like
Do you have a degree?
Soviet style
You
Stalinist.
said you studied film.
Oh no, I studied history. But I also went into theater and film after, but because that's the normal trajectory. I was gonna go, have a good normal life and go into law.
So speakers coming to college campuses aren't really part of the instruction now, are they? They're kind of a supplemental
it's a big
thing.
part of
No, it's
your
not.
university life.
Don't do that. Like I had like Ron Jeremy debate a preacher. That was one of the speakers that we had. Bill Cosby that we got canceled and shit. We had Keenan come and speak. Like that's That's
Is that not a big, for a lot of people, that's a big fun part of university. I know it was for me. That like,
but that's not part of your
who am I
instruction.
bringing in? Like, when am I gonna be in a room where I can debate a Saudi ambassador, and he's not gonna be held like in news where everyone's polite and not gonna talk about him forcing girls back.
And
into
you
a
got
fire
to debate the Saudi ambassador. I don't understand.
Right, but I'm saying these are talks that like sort of adjacent to your courses, although professors themselves have been canceled for their views. So
well, like fucking Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, I just want to state for the record, can't stand the guy. This is just an aside. I find him, I don't know what people are seeing him as so fucking brilliant. He talks out of his ass. I think he's like a pro incel MRAer, but whatever. I can engage with this the one thing, but forget about him. It doesn't mean if he likes the color blue, I like the color blue still. And when he was talking about a Canadian bill of blasphemy, of hate speech, I agreed with him on that bill.
Well, you shouldn't. You should go and do your fucking research then.
I did. I lived in Canada, for almost more than half my life. I did high school onwards there. My mother's Canadian, my father's it's the whole story. But I'm American and Canadian, and I've lived and grown up in both countries.
And that bill passed and is in effect right now.
I've listened to him, and it's suffering, but I've suffered through his stupid talk. I have yet to see more things that I agree with him on, but I'll take the issue.
You shouldn't agree with him on this bill.
But why is it like, oh, this is guy like Trump? He's a fucking shithead. Guess what? I don't know if he does, but let's say he likes lasagna. Oh, I can't like it either.
No one's saying that. You're making these weird arguments.
I do see a lot of wholesale, this person, or they're in part of this group, so everything out of their mouth is...
Yes, once somebody proves that they are a fucking idiot, why would we listen to them about anything?
Because maybe you want to engage with the issues. Maybe they have influence and you want to show why they're wrong.
But if somebody is repeatedly saying dumb shit, why would that be engaging with the issues? Why wouldn't there be...
Because you can show why it's dumb shit. If you don't attack the debate, the issue, people go away into their silos believing, oh, they've canceled him and his stuff must be the truth.
No, ma'am, if you engage, it causes people to go further into their
right,
rabbit
because
holes.
they will never engage with an opposing view because the debate is canceled. And so
I had you on my show. I've been talking to you for an hour and a half now.
This is good, but this is not what's done. We do not engage.
No, I think you are off. I think you are painting things with a broad brush, and you don't have the ability to say the things that you say.
Okay, well, I clearly have the ability because.
I mean, you had no. You can't speak for these groups and say this is what they're thinking and they're trying to get people canceled. I think that is wrong of you to do that.
Okay, when we're talking about generalities, and you're saying you and others.
I think that's logically fallacious.
You're speaking for a group. I mean, that's how we're talking about groups. When we talk about current events, we say the thing, the Saudis, the Jews, the Black. I mean, we're getting into that. So I don't know what you mean by that. Like, who got so-and-so canceled? Obviously, it's groups. I don't know what each of them think, but I also have been on campus like you, and I've engaged with people, and often it's like, this guy is just it's a war criminal, and he's evil, and he's out. And there's no engaging with why. If you ask why, how could you even ask that?
I've never heard someone call somebody a war criminal that they couldn't back it up. And
listen, these exaggerating, hyperbole is huge. That's just in media. That's
what you keep doing. Yes.
But people will throw around even the term Nazi is thrown around. It's been watered down. People call people Hitler all the time, which is annoying for a lot of people who actually did survive the shit by Hitler. It waters down, but this is what we do, especially online. Humans do this.
Well, see, you trivialized me bringing up an actual Nazi tactic that's being employed, and you're like, no, that's just them trying to stifle their free speech.
You're saying that I'm falling for it, and it's not actually happening. And I'm telling you it is happening. Great. Maybe that was a tactic, and in one case, the person wasn't really being canceled, but they said that to get publicity. I'm going to tell you.
I'm going to tell you that's every case.
No, thank you. I'm glad we got to that. That is my argument. I'm going to tell you it's not. But that's your position. And I will, after this.
But you weren't educated on the history. You didn't even know it was a Nazi tactic until I brought that up to you. Does that make sense to you?
Tactic it was. They've all used tactics, publicity tactics.
But
like
they're literally wanting people to say, I'm being canceled, my free speech is being stifled.
So you don't believe people
so that they can mainstream these Nazi ideas.
I'm sure, and many people can say, I'm being canceled, and everyone's like, who's this person? So you're right. It can be used today. Anything can be used that's being discussed upon. It doesn't change the fact that it is happening to people. And you're saying it's all bullshit, and I'm saying it's not. But it's possible, I'm going to grant you, that it is bullshit in some cases.
Oh, it is absolutely bullshit.
But it's not all. And that's
it is
what I'm saying. And that this is sadly...
Don't you think it's weird that all of these people that keep getting canceled are well-financed?
Well, everyone's well-financed. That's how that's how
I'm not well-financed.
I love how people say this. Well-financed. What does that mean? I mean, it costs money to bring people.
The organization TPUSA is financed by billionaires.
Great. So
like the Mercers and the Koch Foundation.
Big organizations on the left are funded. That's how our government sadly works.
What organizations on the left are funded?
What are you talking about? That's how our system works.
They don't hand out Soros bucks to us. That's not a thing. That's a Jewish trope.
Soros is often used. He's supposed to be the evil Jewish leftist.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He funds leftist causes, according to. So, they all need funds because sadly, in our government, in our political system, in our democracy, you need money not just to run, but the whole lobby system is disgusting. If you want any issue done, you have to have a lobby. By the way, another thing on anti-Semitism, the Jewish lobby, the AIPAC. I'm like, they didn't create the system. They're not even one of the largest. They're not even the largest and richest lobby, but it gets talked about a lot. The lobby system, I agree, shit. The NRA, that's why they can't pass anything. We'll never have gun control. So the lobby system.
Wait a minute. Do you think that AIPAC isn't like influencing, especially like Democratic primaries?
Do you think they're the why do they exist?
Oh, I don't think they're the only one.
That's how you do politics, sadly. I agree. It shouldn't be the way. I don't think money it should cost to run. I don't think there should be this donation that we should get rid of all of the system. It's never going to happen. It should be like the student council in my utopia world. Here it is. You get $20. Let the ideas run forth. Sure, 1 million people will be running. Well, figure it out. Let the debate run. But no. You need money. You need the lobbies then to promote the people. Then now once you get into lobbies, you got into deals. Hey, I got you elected. You better pass my shit.
No, I was talking specifically about an organization that does these campus speeches. Like, and there's multiple. There's the Young Americans Foundation. There's TPUSA.
Are you telling me there's no left-wing foundations?
What are they?
I'm asking you if there's any left. Like you're saying,
what are they?
I don't know what they are offhand. I don't know what the right wing ones are. I know they exist because that's how the system is. They're on all sides.
Who's funding these left wing organizations? What do you think left wing means?
People who agree with their views, just like any other group. And
okay,
it is unfortunate.
We're in a capitalist society. Right wingers are capitalists. They're the ones with the money. Who the fuck is funding? Who is going to college campuses and advocating for socialists?
It's a nice thing that a lot of lefties like to tell themselves that they're not capitalists and they're not wealthy.
Whoa. First of all, I call myself a capitalist. I file my taxes as a small business owner.
Right, but I don't buy the left and right wing thing. A lot of the left wingers are from very wealthy upper classes. So
that has nothing to do with political philosophy.
Yeah, but
Goldie, left and right mean something.
When mommy and daddy are paying your millions. So, I mean, what kind of a socialist or environmentalist are you? You know, hey, mom, come on.
It's about ownership of the means of production. It has another, like, buying goods is not, like, just because you advocate socialist principles.
Evil means. It's bullshit. People are hypocrites.
That doesn't make them a hypocrite.
People can call themselves all they want. Oh, they're socialists, they're this. And then you strip it back and look at their life and they're not so socialist. I'm just saying. So
what do you think socialist means?
I call bullshit on a lot of that. Okay, I know what socialism
is. Do you know what the word means?
Do you? Because it's thrown around a lot.
Yes,
and I live in Canada.
It means public ownership of the means of production.
It's not. Yes, but that you're talking about Marxism and going back, which frankly, I think all of that kind of discussion is very much 20th century, 19th century. I don't think a lot of it applies to today, but it's touted and it's used still. Again, the socialist leaders are still very much, you want to talk about neo-religion, they're seen as gurus and almost like the father of this so-and-so movement. But socialism, for instance, Canada, Americans always say it's socialist. It's not.
No, it's not.
Thank you. But it's often touted as that.
No, it has a much healthier social welfare net.
Most societies, most countries are a mix of things. So
all countries are mixed economies. You're not telling us anything, but I don't know that you know what socialism means.
Okay. You give me your definition. I know what socialism is. Thank you.
Public ownership of the means of production.
Yeah, but that's just one part of it. So we don't have socialism then in anywhere. Socialist policies are also social welfare policies. So national health care. You
got to think about it as a scale.
It's not just about work. It's about sharing resources as well. Is a big part of socialism. So it's not just that, and that was formed more in the days of means of production during the time of the Industrial Revolution when everyone is in factories. So that's where that terminology comes from. But there was also, things like, healthcare benefits, unemployment, child labor laws, any type of regulation. Technically, a lot of them would fall into the socialist rubric. And I'm for a lot of those, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a socialist. But I like a lot of socialist principles, but I don't ascribe to the label.
We're all over the place here.
Yes. Someone just said social welfare isn't social. It is part of it. It's part of sharing.
No, ma'am. No. I want to, let's.
And it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know why people think it's an evil word. But because I think people link it to socialism is communism, and they're two different things.
Let's get back to the original topic, and then we'll wrap it up here. Let's. What are your thoughts on Kanye?
Oh God. First of all, it is yay. He made a big point of being very upset. How come you don't call me by? I changed the name. You're still calling me. He went off on Cuomo. He was on his thing saying, I'm Ye. I'm Mr. Ye. No more Kanye. So, well, okay, that's his name. That's fine.
So anyway, Kanye West.
Yay! Okay. Anyway, yes. What do I think? He is an anti-Semite, and he's also suffering from extreme mental illness, probably bipolar. But I'm not a psychiatrist. But he seems to be having manic states leading him further and further down his extreme views, but now feeling unbridled to express them. I don't ascribe to the thing of he's crazy, that's why he's saying it. I think that's a real insult to people with mental illness. You don't suddenly get mentally ill and be like, and now I hate Jews and I hate blacks and I'm going to go against everything that you said was wrong. It's not really right. Like, sure, maybe, but he's up until then, and he even says it. He was holding back. I'm sick of it, man. I'm going to say it now. So he even tells us, and unfortunately, in humans, we all know shit that we say. I mean, as you can see, I can handle, you can yell at me. I like this. I hope you know I'm not like mad at you. Like, this is like, we can get into it. You can have
I'm going to bring you back on for the comedy show sometime. I like you. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, we can go into it. And it gets heated, it's good. It's like, when you're arguing with family. Not that you're family, but you know what I mean. Oh, we family now, ma'am. We family. So, yeah, so don't hold back. So I'm with him on that. But, in society, we all do. We have, like, certain things. We're like, oh, I can't say it. We have a self-censor. At work, I'm like, I'm not just going to, like, strip. Or maybe you will if that is your work. But you hold yourself back to certain things that you have in different settings. And what mental illness does do, especially with bipolar and stuff, from what I understand, is you do lose that filter. And I'm someone who has barely a filter, so I understand that, but it doesn't create your beliefs. So he still is absolutely accountable for this. But yeah, he needs help. And I would more similar to Trump, these people are going to exist. There's going to be crazies. You don't follow them. You don't laud them. You don't bow down to them. You don't put them in the fucking Oval Office. That's for one. So my beef has always been with the followers more.
which is funny because people say the opposite. Bill Maher always says you can't hate the people. And I say, no, it is the people, because he's going to exist. He will exist, him or someone else, some tyrant, they will exist, some demagogue. But your job as a citizen or as an individual is to use your fucking head and look for the evidence and don't fall for it. It's easy to get swept up into a movement. A lot of times it's just social. You don't realize it happening until you're in too deep. So don't do that. I do put the blame, so on Kanye, for instance, anyone who's defending him. Like, I know he's lost it. So he needs to get help. That's a separate issue. It still is an anti-Semite. But the fact that people defend him on the views and stuff and still like it, that's bullshit. That's on them.
I mean, at this point, he's only got Nazis defending him, right?
Which is sad because he's their useful idiot. You know what a useful idiot is in politics.
I think you accused me of being a useful idiot earlier.
I said it in Iran, in the Iranian Revolution. The leftists and secularists who supported and helped bring back the Ayatollah Khomeini for the Islamic Revolution were useful idiots. That's a known. I think that's when the term became very popularized. And women, so they were purged, just like the Soviets. So like you make coalitions because to get what you want, but then once you're in power, you're like, I don't like these fucking people, right? And everyone was going before. Why are you in bed with these people? Well. That's exactly why, because war makes strange bedfellows.
I think that's an oversimplification of Iranian
of course
history.
it is. I'm summing up a giant fucking history lesson. It's more than most people have read.
That also gets into like there's a lot of people that like, oh, we blame the left for the right's behavior because it's the left that drives the right to doing all the bullshit
and I think that's
that they're
stupid.
doing.
And when you're like, you made me do it. You made me do it.
The right says that a lot.
No one, the right is always, I mean, they love it. I mean, the biggest one, that's why we're the fuck you feel. I love when they're like, snowflake. My issue with the right, they're the biggest fucking snowflakes. I will absolutely lay that onto the right wing. You know how I my point is call each side, I don't even like sides, but there are sides. We know this, we're polarized. Go on the issue. I have my beef with the right, I have my beef with the left. Do I have a home? No. Voting.
No, you have a home over here with us.
No, it's agonizing, but I do it because I'm a woman and I know the history of voting. But I hate it. It's always which idiot, which asshole is less of an asshole.
Leftism is collectivism.
No.
Well, you have to join with us because we don't have the money. We have collective power.
Leftism has their package deal of issues. So I meet one and I kind of know what they all think, and that's problematic for me. And they have no-go topics, and then I'm too much.
I do not think there is these no-go topics.
They absolutely. We're not going to go back in circles, but they absolutely have no-go topics.
I don't think you proved your point at all. And
well, we'll all have to come back and bring in some more direct examples that we can dissect because it's so much fun and so comedic and so funny.
If people shut you down because you are just wrong and flat out wrong,
that's good. They need to say why. Yes. They should do that.
Okay.
But I think sometimes we're not having the discussion before we can say they're wrong.
Okay, so the other day I did a video about sex and it was a rant that I did during somebody said something in the
sex, like sexual intercourse, or
sex.
Biology.
Biology, yes.
Oh, okay. I went to ooh la la.
I mean, like, we live in sexual anarchy around here. Oh, I don't have my here's my graphics.
Okay. Well, what's happening?
You live in sexual anarchy.
Okay. Why is the hands up?
So I did the video and broke down how, sex isn't binary. There are people that have multiple combinations of the XY chromosome. You can have female chromosomes and have male genitalia.
Doesn't disprove the binary?
Yeah, it does.
No,
binary means only two. It's 0, 1.
It doesn't. If you're going to point to exceptions that are...
man. That's bimodal. We're talking about bimodal. So there's two different distributions. Okay. And then sex traits are distributed on a normal curve. This is just so...
I'm not with the left on, by the way. I know where they plot me, even though I don't like to label
then you're wrong.
Right. No, I'm right.
No, I can prove it. Because
okay.
sex traits are distributed
Wait,
on
are we getting into
all
this?
all naturally occurring traits are distributed on a normal curve. So, like the small amount of people that we see with these chromosomal abnormalities.
I'm an alcoholic bigot. No, incorrect.
Uh,
Maybe borderline alcoholic.
The small amount that we see is what we would expect to see according to the empirical rule. Because most people fall within one standard deviation of the mean. Then you have like 96% of your data falls within 2 standard deviations of the mean. So like this is provable.
Yes.
So like sex traits are on a spectrum. This is 100%. You can't disagree with me on this because I can show you
it's
the
not,
proof.
and until 5
I
minutes
can show
ago,
you what
nobody
biologists and geneticists
said it.
have
So I
said.
don't-
So
this is a new dogmatic way.
well,
of
this is
thinking.
not me shutting you down. This is me telling you that this is what the facts are.
It's incorrect. That's not how the science says it, though. That is definitely not.
No, that's
how
100% how the science says
they're-
it. I can show
in fact-
you the peer-reviewed
In fact,
studies.
intersex people are sick of being used and touted as this because they have it doesn't make them not male or female. And so
No,
many
most
of them,
intersex people will pick a gender to live as.
no, it still is. They have certain disorders that follow with certain genders, and even if I were to grant you that, they're an exception. So it doesn't.
This idea of
very, very
exception
tiny
is what proves my point, ma'am.
No, it doesn't, because we don't use that in rules. Humans have evolved. Are we the
You
only
don't know
ones?
what you're talking about.
Wait, so is it a spectrum in all other mammals? Is it just us? Are we special?
Yes.
Okay, well, I disagree. That's not how
Well,
I
you're
read the
wrong
science.
then.
I'm not, but
You
know what?
are.
Show me the science.
I
and I'll show you
can't. That's
our science.
that's the
But by the way,
point.
people saying what I'm saying, the scientists, a lot of them have been canceled, and they won't get funding for their research.
No.
Yes. This is
I
absolutely
mean, I'm
true.
sure you can show me some quacks and shit that have
Okay, we know that
telling you that, like, here is the evidence, here's the mountains of evidence, and this is why you're wrong. Is not you
from a
being
religious childhood, I've never heard such sexism until recent times as what is being promoted as what is female and male. This pink and the Barbie and I liked dolls. It's pathetic. It's
What
worse
are you
than
talking?
1950s.
Once again, this is some crazy argument that you're making.
I'm
like,
telling you, no, the whole gender ideology movement that is quoting things like this. There's a lot of just sheer 50s gender roles being touted as evidence.
who's touting gender roles?
That not me. People who are saying this is why they're the opposite gender or they're non-binary, and you say why? Oh, I've just felt this way, and you can't think. And also, this is another topic. Even right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm like, ooh, this is not allowed. It's an off. We're not
It's
allowed to engage in this.
allowed, but you're like,
No, you're not allowed to discuss it. This is already.
I'm wanting you to discuss it, but
right. But in general media and on universities and stuff, you cannot even have this discussion.
they have this discussion. All the biologists and geneticists have written mountains on it. That's how I know
and many of
what
them
they
have been tried to
say.
be silenced. The ones that say counter to that argument, what you're saying.
Okay,
Like,
you
no, that's
understand, like,
misleading.
if you are wrong on a topic, and people are like, "Hey, dude, you're wrong."
Why that's wrong. You know, you're saying it's wrong because a lot of people are saying it's wrong because they don't want it to be. They don't want it to be not so. And so there's many things I wish weren't.
But
true.
I tried to
I wish
explain it
women
to you,
weren't
and you just
weaker,
completely shut it
biologically.
down.
I'm telling yes.
You can
but-
look up bimodal distribution. You can look up the
and I will
empirical
send you
rule.
counters to these arguments. But there's absolutely
isn't an
all
argument.
mammals were not special.
It is.
and
It
that's
is
a big part
so
of it.
wild to me because you think there aren't intersex species that exist in nature. Like what? Like you're what?
We are male and female in terms of human mammals, and most mammals are. There are some exceptions, but that's how we evolved. It's about gametes.
You keep
And gamete
saying
production.
exceptions.
Very tiny, which disproves,
In
the exception
statistics,
doesn't-
those are called outliers, and we know
right.
exactly
They
the
don't
number of
prove the rule. They don't
But they
disprove the rule.
do.
No, we never do
Because
that.
all naturally occurring. When I first heard this in statistics, it was like a fucking light bulb going off. all naturally occurring traits like height, eye color, and shit are distributed on a normal curve.
Yeah, as someone is saying, yeah, people who don't like people who disagree with them, then they call them a bigot. I would agree with that. I'm just reading some of the comments. I do think, I
don't think you're a bigot at all. I think you're just but I don't know why you're so adamant about not listening to what I've
read that stuff.
I don't believe you have.
I have read a lot. Have you read Helen Joyce's stuff?
I don't know who Helen Joyce is. I don't usually look at the authors when I go to Google a Scholar and look up papers.
Right.
And you usually have multiple authors. So if you're listening to somebody that's like writing a book for profit, that's probably not a good source to go to.
What do you think? Well, someone
exactly. That's the first thing I thought. Producer Dave says that Helen, because this is producer Dave deals with conspiracy.
But you just said you don't read her stuff, so why?
Producer Dave says she's a propagandist, and that was my first thought. If you're naming one person, you're naming somebody that's written a book for profit. Whereas, when I go and look at when I go look at Google studies, I'm looking at a study that's been written by H. Wachowski, B. Brahmanovsky, and there's a whole bunch of authors to a paper. It's not something that one person is publishing as a book.
Studies that show that this is not even new. I don't know why this suddenly became a huge thing. 5 minutes ago, everybody knew the difference between sex and gender. Gender is a social construct, and sex is biological.
I'm talking about biological sex.
I don't care how people identify, but I don't see it as a real biological truth.
Well, I'm talking about biological sex.
Right, and I see it as I've read
biological sex.
And you journals.
I said it specifically. Sex traits are bimodal.
Yes, so
they are distributed on a spectrum. Most people fall within one standard deviation of the mean.
How many sexes are there?
In statistics.
How many? How many sexes are there?
There's 2 sets of sex traits.
There's 2
sets of sex traits.
Okay, so it's a binary.
In statistics, no, it is not a binary. In statistics, it's bimodal. We keep saying this.
You can say it all you want, but a lot of what you just said is exactly what I said. It is exactly 2 sets.
No, you don't know what you're talking about.
Is there crossover? Sure, there's always
yes, that's because it's a spectrum and because sex traits are distributed on a normal curve. Do you know what a normal curve is in statistics?
A very few amounts. It doesn't change the fact.
That's exactly what you would expect to see if it was distributed on a normal curve.
X, Y, X.
Ma'am. Empirical rule.
Okay.
Do you have it in front of you?
No, I don't. I'm not good at this.
Do you have the internet? You Google empirical rule. Because the number is 0.3%, that's what you would expect to see in outliers. That's how we know that sex traits are distributed on a normal curve. That's how I can tell you that 65% of the population has a penis size that falls within one standard deviation of the mean, which is a normal penis size. It'd be like 5 to 6.5 inches or whatever.
Okay, I'm just going to say I think there's 2 sexes. There's exceptions, absolutely, to the XY.
Those exceptions prove
it doesn't mean
that it's a normal curve.
Tiny. It doesn't mean that there isn't 2 sexes, that sex isn't a binary.
It's bimodal.
I also don't agree with a lot of the practices being done. I don't agree.
Just because you don't agree doesn't mean that you are correct.
I think it's incorrect to surgically remove healthy body parts from minors, and that is happening. And it's
so are you against a say you've got a
double mastectomies happening for
say you've got a 15-year-old girl and she's like double E's. Do you think she shouldn't have a breast reduction?
I don't think those are even remotely the same example.
Why is it not? Because it is
because one of them is just healthy and one of them she just doesn't want. It's not.
But that's you're thinking the other one is just healthy.
It is,
and not that it is a prescribed medical intervention.
I'm going to tell you personally, and this is what informs me. When I was a kid, from a young age, and sure, we could say it was due to the extreme sexism in the Hasidic world. Absolutely. I wanted to be a boy. I never thought I was.
I do not give a shit about your anecdotes.
No. And I was very gender nonconforming for a very long time. This group.
This does not disprove anything that we're. This is you talking about your feelings, and yes, the chat is telling me to hang up on you.
And I believe a lot of girls who are identifying right now as transgender.
You don't have the ability to say that. You don't know what is in their heads. I have the ability
to say my belief, just like you can say you believe what
I
they're
didn't
saying.
state a belief.
Okay, I'm telling you, I believe a lot of them will grow up, and already we're seeing it, to regret it, and that they need mental health.
Do you know what the regret? Wait,
surgery to chop off their breasts and make a skin tube dick. That's not going to help them, and it hasn't been.
Do you know what the regret rate is with
climbing? There's going to be a point where you can't even use that. First of all, a lot of them were suppressed, which is again.
Oh wow.
But the numbers are just going to keep.
Okay,
climbing.
so the data I have isn't usable because your feelings are.
No, the exact rates of regret. Do you know what they are? Because they're going to rise. But what is acceptable to you? Because this is irreparable.
Right now, the regret rate for transitioning is less than that of knee surgery.
You're using quotes. Some people have said it could be as much as 8%, 4%. That's sufficient to you? That's a lot.
Fucking like knee surgery is like 16%.
And it's unacceptable to do this to a minor who is going through stuff.
When you say minor, we don't say,
yeah, you're right. You are too fat.
When you say minor, you're saying minor specifically to evoke the idea of a small child.
Pencil.
Like, there's nobody having bottom surgery. Like, in a rare case, it might happen to a 17-year-old. Because we have, like, an example of Keffels.
And the puberty blockers are very
Puberty
damaging.
blockers are used for several.
It's Lupron. We now know it's causing a lot of damage, causing osteoporosis, brain development issues. We didn't even study it. We don't know the long-term effects.
Ma'am, puberty blockers have been used for years for other conditions.
No. Yes. And it was always, and we don't have the studies that they are doing now. And now people are studying them and we're seeing the effects. And it is absolutely incorrect that they're fully reversible. And we were lied to. But that's not new. Big Pharma's lied about opiates. I don't know why they're suddenly trusted on this issue, but we can't.
I don't see how you are so discerning when it comes to seeing anti-Semitism just creeping into places.
I'm reading that,
and you can't see how you're furthering a right-wing talking point. Also,
why is it a right-wing talking point when I can show you the evidence that is
also, ma'am, I do. This is the last thing I'm going to follow up with you. In Berlin in the 1920s, that was the safest place to be a trans person.
Great.
That was the first group of people that they came for, and right now there is currently a genocide of trans people going on in this country. There absolutely is. I have covered it on this show.
The Armenian genocide, the Holocaust. There's no genocide. There's no deliberate systemic government attack.
And I am telling you, that's the warning sign of fascists that will come for you. You even mentioned it earlier.
Okay, no, I don't see
the first people the Nazis came for.
I think you're wrong to connect it to that. I don't think it's an exact.
You know who else the Nazis came for? The socialists.
Yes, and they did. It doesn't make this wrong. I don't think that's what they're doing.
So it's worrying to me to hear you use.
You're asserting that's what they're doing.
So many talking points.
Where's the evidence of the genocide? I can show you the evidence of Armenian genocide.
You are welcome to go and talk to Polly. Polly people on Twitch would be a great resource, because I don't personally like. I will speak on trans issues.
Why is what I'm saying about puberty blockers really bothering you? Wouldn't you want to know that they're harming trans kids? If they are?
I have seen no evidence that they are harming trans kids.
Absolutely. Have you seen evidence that they help? That they're not harmful?
Yes.
Okay, I will send you. You can send me. I'll send you scientific studies. We're not talking about books or authors who've spoken, as I've mentioned.
I would love to see it.
Actually important, and I would love to read what you've got. because if I will stand corrected if I'm presented.
Well, you've got a lot of
You
shit to
can
stand corrected about.
and I feel the same about you. So game on.
Goldie, please tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, they don't want to. They said yeet.
Oh, you made some fans in here.
I'm off with their head.
You made some fans.
It's fine. It's fine. Most of my, even if they hate me, as long as you can still hate me.
If you didn't notice, I've got plenty of hate followers here.
But you can't. They're allowed to have their opinion. I grant you. There's many things of me to hate. And I can list them, but we probably have different ones. But anyway, you can find me on Instagram. I really, as you know, you can debate me, call me out on shit. I don't mean like, fuck you, you should die or whatever. But, you know, that's not really to me a debate, but I call respectful debate. You can still swear like this is fucking bullshit because blah, blah, blah. So I don't mean it has to be polite. Like, let's talk like normal humans do, like this. But engage with the subject, even if it gets heated, but not like, I want you fucking dead and you should be, you know, raped and fucking this. I can't engage with that, you know. But anyway, so yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Goldie Hoffman comedian, because I think I had Goldie Hoffman and then forgot the password and I can't get it back. No.
I'm hoping Elon gives me my original Twitter back.
Fuck Elon. I don't understand the gooification of him. That's a right-wing thing that I can't stand. I don't understand what they're seeing.
See, we got plenty of shit we can agree on.
Oh, no, we have. That's why I told you I'm all over the map. But they made sense to me. I would deal with each issue. He's a fucking narcissist, and he's a liar, by the way, for free speech. He's been blocking people that say bad shit like it on him, just like a fucking dictator does. Like, I'm good with free speech. I can't handle it for myself.
Exactly.
You have to allow your enemies free speech if you're for free speech. Anyway, so he's a fucking liar. So I'm with the left on that one. So, anyway, yes.
Tweet us. Yay.
Hoffman, Instagram, and YouTube. Hopefully, I'll be making more shit that's gonna enrage you guys or love. Hopefully.
I don't think we were enraged at all, and like we were intrigued enough to bring you on.
Well, and I appreciate that because I think that's pretty cool. At first, you thought, oh, I don't, and even now, you're like, I don't agree with, you know.
Well, even when I thought I wouldn't agree with you, I was still like, I'm gonna play this on my show.
Yes, and that's good. That's in true engagement and debate. But a lot of people don't want that. They're like, it shouldn't even be platform. So, but you're not one of them. That's good. For my book, I'm saying it's good. Some people might say it's not good. That you shouldn't have had me on. So
no, I think everybody was entertained by this.
Anyway, and then I also just do like stand up now and again. I have a show coming up, but it's in San Diego. So
I've got followers all over the world. There's several in California.
I gotta like update my website, but for now, I took a huge social media break, so I need to get my Instagram back up. Turns out Instagram fans ditch you when you go AWOL for a few months.
I think that's all platforms. You get the shadow ban.
How dare they? Off with their heads. Okay.
What was your YouTube channel?
And YouTube. Does it have me here? I don't know. I think it's just Goldie Hoffman. So,
go check out Goldie.
Yeah, I'll write it in the comments. I'm wearing some yellow jumpsuit.
RB says as soon as he gets some teeth, he's going to go to hang out with you.
Some teeth?
Yeah, you need some teeth first.
Oh, that's interesting.
See, everybody liked you. It wasn't a bust.
I don't have to, but why does he need teeth? I'm intrigued.
Oh, he's probably just old. He's a baby boomer.
Okay, well, you don't need your teeth, okay? Come as you are. There you go. No teeth. Now show me them gums.
Goldie, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you for the lively debate, and I will send you shit.
You might need to get cut off on the wine, man.
It's one glass, and I barely.
It's a gigantic glass.
I know, but I barely sipped it because I am small, so it's true.
Have a great night. It was so fun to talk to you. Ooh, well. That was actually pretty good for me since I was very ill prepared. Yeah. So I just woke up 10 minutes before the show started, and then that happened. and that was a lively discussion. I do have some news. We need to take a commercial break on the Twitch. Let me go refill my drink. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about new shit. Though I don't have a full list. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to find out what Victor Bout said to Brittany Griner during their prisoner swap exchange. I've noticed he's become a meme now. We're going to find out what life was like inside the Russian penal colony where Brittany Griner was held. John Bolton said that Trump actually turned down the opportunity to do the swap with Paul Whelan for Victor Bout. Said Trump didn't give a shit. Arizona Democrats are bashing Kirsten Sinema. Fox says the left is melting down over Sinema leaving the Democratic Party. We're going to hear from Dan Bongino, who says things are going to get ugly fast. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't even know what the topic is. I'm just like, ooh, let's hear what Bongino has. It's probably just, it's 5 minutes long. It's probably just going to be him being like, you need to buy gold. Go to my website and buy gold because things are going to get ugly fast. I bet I called it. There was a woman, the House voted to, this was the night I took off on Thursday. We voted to codify gay marriage and interracial marriage on Thursday. A Republican lawmaker got a little teary-eyed on the floor of the House. Her nephew is apparently gay and had a few choice words to say about her. We're going to watch the video of her crying on the House floor, and we're going to hear him eviscerate her. Texas judge has thrown out the very first lawsuit filed under Texas's new abortion ban. We're going to hear about a Mormon cult leader who apparently fucked some underage girls and made the dads watch. New information on the catfish cop from Virginia that drove to the other side of the country, killed a young girl's family. Apparently, he used his service weapon on himself. I thought he was killed in a firefight with the cops. A wrongfully convicted Georgia man has now been freed. Plus, I'm going to show you a dog playing with a balloon. Sassy, you just now come back. It's been a wild one. Also, I need to say hey to everybody. Ram Jam, Tones, Lord Locke. Was Sinema ever really in the Democratic Party? Lenny, Mox, Clinically, love you guys so much. Been a fun night. Simp, RB, Cyanide, DJ Dub, Professor Q, Mad23, Podo Bogus, Pyrotech. Love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Battle Opossum. Jamie, I might not get everybody. In here. But I love all of you. I'm trying to, Anarcho. Good evening. I love the other on Wednesday. When we did, Prime Minister's questions and we did C-SPAN call-ins, I kept telling everybody, good evening. Curiouser, Roland. Love all of you, Core. So glad to have everybody here. When we come back, we're going to find out what that news be doing on the other side of the break. Tadpole.
Hi, I'm Justin FREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, or I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out.
We live in turbulent times. The media is full of deception, conspiracy theories, and fake news. Now, more than ever, it is important to ensure you're getting information from a source that's freaking reliable.
I'm Justin Mullins, and this is the Freakin' News.
Get a breaking or interesting story with a humorous twist in about a minute weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and more.
I'm tired. Here's your meme. Here's a meme of the day. That ain't right. Yeah, I guess I didn't check my shit before we started. That ain't right either. There we go. There's a meme. Looky here, commie. Start dressing like a boy for I jizz my britches. I think I saw that prayer clip. I don't know if I saw it on Majority Report on Friday or if I saw like TYT play that. I think I might have had it on in the background as I was doing something. I stepped in cat vomit again. Thanks, cats. Who apologized for what? Did my cat apologize for vomiting on the floor? No. No. You think Socks is going to apologize for that shit? No. He's over here acting like a Kevin right now. Come here, Socks. He ran from me, ran to the other side of the house. Oh yeah, he did say something like Marvel movies or some shit like that. He made some woke comment. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't keep up, like, that's another thing, like I can't argue about J.K. Rowling because I got no fucking clue what she said. All I know is I've seen people say she was transphobic. Also, apparently she's very anti-Semitic. Man, I should have got into that, shouldn't I have? Because weren't like the goblins like based on Jewish people or some shit? Goldie might not have agreed so much with J.K. Rowling on that one. Oof. And now I'm gonna have to actually sit down and go find research papers and shit just to prove a point. And I will. Oh, why'd I switch back from Cowboy Man? Sam Elliott over here. I ain't high enough for this shit. I should have packed the. I have THCO infused CBD over here. It'll put a walloping on you. I should have used that. She's still making new ones? I wouldn't. Be like, I'm done with this shit. I'm just gonna go up here. Man, if I made just like $1 million, my ass just be sitting at home. I would never go outside. Well, I mean, I'd go do shit, I guess. I'd go to like a concert every now and again. I'd just be sitting at home playing video games all the time. How would you define transphobe? Need a precising definition. God, this is going back to the freak show on Friday night where we kept talking about the meaning of words. And yeah, somebody said we were doing epistemology. We were kind of doing more linguistics. Maybe tiptoeing into epistemology. I mean, phobic means the fear of. Transphobic is having or showing a dislike of or a strong prejudice against transgender people. So I would say, you know, like I didn't think that what Chappelle was saying ventured into full-on blatant anti-Semitism. I felt like he furthered several anti-Semitic tropes, but I guess I was more charitable with Chappelle's monologue than Goldie was. So I'm sure you would say that, you know, Chappelle had showed a strong prejudice against Jewish people in his monologue, without being overt about it. So one can show strong prejudice against transgender people without being overt about it. Yeah, Locke, I'm with you on that. I called out. Because when I broke down Chappelle's monologue, I was like, ooh, he said some problematic things that really play into these anti-Semitic tropes. But do I think it was like Goldie and I had that disagreement? I don't think that Chappelle thinks that the Jews really run Hollywood. But maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe he does. And Gwyneth Paltrow cheers him on from the crowd. You want to see Seth Rollins curb stomp me? I don't think it has to do with a sect. And it's like, once again, to point out, like, how Jewish people came to be in Hollywood is because they were excluded from several other... many of the other professions, and that, you know, acting and comedy and everything wasn't seen as some virtuous living, and comedians were often portrayed as the dregs of society. They are overrepresented in banking because the Catholic Church forbid Christians to loan money for the longest time, and there wasn't that embargo on the Jewish people, so that's how they came to be overrepresented in banking. We did touch on Kyrie and the Black Hebrew Israelites, but like Chappelle was just talking like in general Hollywood and shit, right? I don't know. And also, like, I didn't go back and watch the monologue nor her piece. And my stoner ass doesn't remember things very well, so I wasn't really able to dissect the piece. My plan was to actually watch it with her on the stream, but I didn't set it up to where I could have a guest watch along because I woke up like 5 minutes before the show started. F-bombs didn't like a joke I cracked about him on Twitter. Got kind of sensitive. And until he brought it up in that conversation, I didn't even know he was Jewish. Oh, God. But he just made some comment about, like, oh, maybe me as a white person shouldn't talk about this and this. And, like, oh, yes, white people should talk about topics that have historically had people. I don't even remember how I said it. I was just ragging on him, but he got kind of mad, I think. I just make jokey jokes. I didn't even know the conversation and the context and everything. I just make jokey jokes. I did not, Lord. I don't watch other people that do the same thing as me. However, if it's a shit show of a panel, send that to me. Send that to me on Discord or something. I like watching shit shows. I definitely like watching shit shows. Apparently there was some kind of drama going on. With some panel, and I saw it tangentially, like from the outside, and I was like, I'd like to go watch that. Not gonna stick my nose in there. Even the old, I didn't Goldie run that down for you? Like, the Old Testament is the Jewish Bible, and they don't call it the Torah. Anyway, I don't believe there's been any professors out here getting canceled for saying reasonable shit. If a university yeeted somebody, I assume they did it for a good reason. Jordan Peterson. Let's go to Russia, where apparently old Vlad has spoken out following a missile launch.
Ukrainian officials say Russian strikes have killed at least 10 people in the eastern Donetsk region.
President Volodymyr Zelensky said that this was the deadliest single attack on civilians in weeks. Ukrainian leaders say this is all part of Moscow's scaled-back attempt to secure the land it had tried to annex. Russian President Vladimir Putin also vowed to continue attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure, saying he is preparing for a long, protracted conflict.
Joining us now from Kyiv is CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab. Imtiaz, good to see you. So in public comments this week, President Putin defended Russia's attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, saying it was retaliation for Ukrainian attacks. So is Putin...
Oh, guys, look what I got.
More devastating attacks?
Tanya, Lana, good to talk to you. Yeah, I mean, what a strange scene. There you have Vladimir Putin in this sort of gold glinting room, clutching a glass of champagne, and he's speaking in a way that we rarely hear Vladimir Putin speaking. Essentially,
the saga of Vlad and Vlad,
responsible for targeting Ukraine's energy grid, and going far as saying that the reason Russia's been targeting Ukraine's energy grid is because of Ukraine, in his view, targeting sites in Russia. He says that Ukraine was responsible for, I quote, blowing up the...
Was this on purpose? Because we've had so many stories about him being in poor health, so he's going to come out and he's like, champagne makes it look like he's on top of the world and shit. Hey, I can stand on my own.
Kursk Bridge for targeting the power lines for the Kursk power station, and he said there was, quote,
the way he's holding his other hand kind of makes me think there's a cane there.
Really what makes it so strange is that there you have the Russian president essentially admitting to war crimes. Targeting civilian infrastructure is a war crime under international law, and there we have Vladimir Putin saying that he will continue to do it, and that is something that Ukraine has.
He's also saying what you're going to do about it.
MTS, I want to talk to you about Zaporizhia, but even before that, let's discuss that image of Putin. As you said, it seemed jarring to see him surrounded by gold and that lavishness, holding sort of casually that champagne. Who was he targeting? What was he trying to send as a message? And who was his audience in this?
Well, not us, that's for sure. Certainly not the U.S., not the world. Vladimir Putin only has one audience, and that is Vladimir Putin. The reality that he creates is the reality that his country has to accept, whether they like it or not. That is how the Kremlin operates. That is how the country that Vladimir Putin essentially rules over operates. Yeah. And it is a strange thing for him to see. You know, we would remember up until the start of the war, Vladimir Putin would meet with people at a table, sort of, you know, really long table, as long as, you know, a state banquet room, and yet now you have him in a room meeting with people, drinking champagne, and saying that he's going to continue attacking Ukraine. So yeah, some strange things coming out of Moscow, that's for sure.
And real quick, MTS, because I already mentioned it, what's the update, the latest on Zaporizhia? Are there Russian
yeah, throw it in the troll chat for
now
me.
Installed there?
Yeah, again, a very concerning report coming from here in Ukraine. We have not been able to independently verify it, but if that is indeed true, it certainly is very alarming. Throughout this conflict, we have to remember that Russia occupied this nuclear power plant very early on into this war, have been there ever since, and there has been a lot of fighting around it. Yeah. Russia, of course, blaming Ukraine, Ukraine blaming Russia, but there are 6 nuclear reactors there. They have all been powered down, but that doesn't mean that this could not result in some sort of nuclear reaction occurring, and that, of course, is something many people around the world are very afraid of.
Absolutely.
Lana,
wow. MTS, thank you.
Thanks so much, MTS.
I am tired of hearing about that nuclear power plant. I mean, I know it's an issue, but god damn. I mean, I don't know what to do about it. Like, fucking, somebody should do something, but what? I don't fucking know. I do want to find out what Victor Bout reportedly said to Brittany Griner the moment they were exchanged in a prisoner swap. Victor Bout, the convicted arms dealer the U.S. swapped with Russia for WNBA star and gold medalist Brittany Griner, revealed what he said to her while exchanging them on the airport tarmac in Abu Dhabi. "I wished her luck. She even sort of reached out her hand to me," Bout told the Russian state broadcaster RT in his first interview. "Again, it's our tradition. You should wish everyone good fortune and happiness," he said, adding that he believed Griner was positively inclined towards him. Video published this week showed the moment in which the pair were swapped on the tarmac. Do we have that video? No draft picks or cash in the deal. I was wondering that too, if she had shaved her dreads off. What a weird exchange. I mean, I don't know what a prisoner swap is supposed to look like, but that wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Seems like a nice guy. Wished her good fortune. Let's find out what life was like inside the penal colony. A Russian fucking penal colony.
to social media for the first time since being reunited with her wife, Brittany Griner.
She shared this post to Instagram, thanking everyone involved in getting Brittany home safe, including a wide range of journalists, activists, and politicians. After 294 grueling days, 10 months, the Griners were reunited last night in Texas. ABC's M. Wynn has the story.
Brittany Griner returned.
I saw a lot of people sharing out memes. It was like Brittany Griner tonight had like pizza and a fucking vape pen and shit. Like, yeah, good on her. Go get high as fuck.
To the U.S. on Friday after being detained in Russia for a harrowing 10 months.
U.S. officials who met her on the ground said she was in very good spirits, appears to be in good health.
The 32-year-old WNBA star reunited privately with her wife, Sherelle, and is now receiving medical care at an Army medical center in Texas. The process, called reintegration, helps Americans detained overseas transition to being back home. It includes physical checkups and access to psychologists.
The U.S. military has quite a bit of experience with bringing people back, hostages back, people from war zones that have been rescued, and so she's going to get top flight care.
Friends, family, and colleagues overjoyed at Griner's homecoming.
We're just so happy to have her back. We really want to lean on her family's wishes and make sure she's getting the support she needs and welcome her back to our community.
Everyone's on cloud nine. We're extremely excited, and now, just worried about her well-being.
Images from Russian state TV show her life in prison, spending her days carrying fabric because she was too tall to sit at the sewing tables where other prisoners worked. Her bed, too small for a 6'9" frame. Griner was detained in February for traveling with hashish oil, a substance banned in Russia, sentenced to 9 years. Her release.
Now let me point out, a lot of right-wingers have said, oh, she knew what she was doing, like she knew they were harsh on these sentences. The State Department says that this was almost certainly a setup, and any of these fuckers that would take Russia's side, because I said that to somebody, and he was like, "Oh, like I believe the U.S. State Department." Oh, you believe Russia? You believe Russia wouldn't plant evidence on somebody to detain them? Come the fuck on.
He's part of a prisoner swap for Victor Boot, a notorious arms dealer imprisoned in the U.S. for about 50 years.
It's a hell of a mustache.
Not part of the exchange, former Marine Paul Whelan, imprisoned in Russia since 2018 on espionage charges that the U.S. says are a sham. U.S. officials say they are still actively working towards Whelan's release, and Russian President Vladimir Putin saying the door is still open for prisoner swaps.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more.
What up, Mark Brown?
Content by clicking.
I feel like we've watched a piece by Mark Brown before, or that had Mark Brown on the end of it. Coming in and being like, I'm Mark Brown. Hi, Mark Brown. Feel like I've done that bit. So Trump turned down a Victor Bout for Paul Whelan prisoner swap, according to John Bolton. President Donald Trump shot down Russian attempts to trade former Marine Paul Whelan for Merchant of Death. They make him sound so cool. Merchant of Death, arms dealer Victor Bout, former National Security Advisor John Bolton said on Thursday as Trump ripped his successor for agreeing to send Bout home in exchange for the return of WNBA star Brittany Griner and multiple-time gold medalist. Bolton recalled in an interview with CBS that he was in the midst of his 17-month tenure at the White House. Was he even there that long? It didn't feel like 17 months. It felt like he was there like 3 months and they fired him. The possibility of a Bout for Whelan trade existed back then, said Bolton, 74, and it wasn't made for very good reasons having to deal with Victor Bout. Whelan was sentenced in June 2020 to 16 years in prison. U.S. officials claimed Thursday that the Biden administration tried to secure the release of both Whelan and Griner, but Moscow refused to budge, insisting on a one-for-one swap of Griner for Bout. Obviously, there's a lot of very understandable human emotion here in getting Griner released. And thank you, White House. I had criticized them hard. Dennis Rodman wanted to go to Russia and try to free Brittany Griner, and I was all for it. And the State Department told him no. And my thought was, like, if fucking Dennis Rodman can go do it, like, apparently Rodman is the, like, totalitarian leader whisperer. He's got some kind of fucking weird thing going on with Kim Jong-un. I just like let him do it unless the State Department was close to a deal. So apparently they were, but also the reports were like it was in the last 2 weeks that these talks really heated up. So who knows what to believe here. This is not a deal. This is not a swap. This is a surrender, Bolton added, and terrorists and rogue states all around the world will take note of this, and it endangers other Americans in the future who can be grabbed and used as bargaining chips by people who don't have the same morals and scruples that we do. What fucking John Bolton talking about the United States having scruples and morals? Come the fuck on.
Come on, man.
Seriously? God damn. Now you must purge the channel of heretics. To be honest with you, Lord, I'm trying to get through this really fast so I can go like Curiouser made some chicken casserole. I'm going to have chicken casserole. He was making chicken casserole when I woke up originally, and I didn't think I'd go back to sleep. But I went back to sleep and woke up frantically 5 minutes before the stream was supposed to start. Oh, fucking Business Insider India. I don't know how I got on the India version of this, but okay. Arizona Democratic Party official says voters feel that Senator Kyrsten Sinema has totally turned her back on the people who got her into office. An Arizona Democratic Party official said that voters in the state feel like Senator Kyrsten Sinema has turned her back on the people who voted for her after she announced that she would no longer serve as a member of the Democratic Party. I don't know, guys. I don't know what kind of casserole it is. If I had to guess, it's stuffing and like cream of chicken, big chunks of chicken in it, that kind of casserole, maybe some cheese. Oh shit. I don't think if I had to guess what kind of chicken casserole she made, it has stuffing, cheese, and chicken. You might have used cream of mushroom and not cream of chicken. Purge the heretics, Lord Locke. I'm gonna try to do the news. So Michael Slogocki, the vice chair of the Arizona Democratic Party, said Sinema has no constituency group in Arizona anymore after her announcement on NBC's Meet the Press on Friday. They feel like she's totally turned her back on the people that got her into office. In a series of tweets, Sinema said that she was joining the growing number of Arizonans who reject party politics. Slogocki acknowledged on Meet the Press that independents make up 1/3 of the electorate in Arizona, but he said Sinema is still very unpopular among independents. She does not have a good favorability rating among anybody. I thought I had a clip of Sinema here. Hold on. I might do have a clip of Sinema. See, I was supposed to get up and continue putting my show together. That didn't happen. Did I bookmark it on Twitter? Here we go. This is Sinema following up on her decision to leave the Democrats. This is her with Jake Tapper.
You're up for re-election in 2024. This move means, I suppose, that you're not going to be running in the Democratic primary for the Senate seat?
Well, I know this will probably be disappointing to folks, but I'm actually not even thinking about electoral politics or talking about that at all right now.
But doesn't this increase the likelihood that your run for re-election will be tougher because you will not only have a Republican opponent, you may even have a Democratic opponent?
You know, I don't make decisions based on what the easy road or the tough road is. I have always tried to make decisions based on what I think is right. And
oh no, ma'am, you can't tell me that there wasn't an incredible amount of strategy that went into this decision for you to announce specifically on the day that you announced.
Very important that we have
a week after the election,
and here,
or I mean, not a week, a month after the election,
about reducing the partisanship, and
2 days after the special election,
solving the challenges that we face in America. The challenges we face are great. They're significant. We cannot solve them by using partisan attacks. We cannot solve them through a partisan lens. And I want to be a part of having that discussion and showing that there is a different way.
Would you ever run for president?
No.
Never.
I don't want to be president.
I can believe that. I think she's got something lined up. Some sort of lobbying job or something that she doesn't care about re-election. I don't know. It's hard to say right now. But apparently Fox News is thinking the left is melting down. But is that Tommy Lahren? Is that Tommy Lahren? It's shocking to me. Is that Tommy Lahren? They let her on TV again? Sorry, I was just like, hadn't seen you in a while. Okay. What was I saying? How was I introing this? Let me look at my notes. Oh, Fox News says the left is melting down over Kirsten Tommy. I used to play with her, call her Tammy Longgarden or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Independent Senator Kirsten Sinema is taking heat for leaving the Democrat Party, but those attacks are nothing new. Remember when activists followed her into the bathroom to yell at her?
We need solutions. The Build Back Better plan has the solutions that we need.
It appears that she is going to still caucus with the Democrats. She says she wants to keep her committee position.
If you don't support what you promised us. I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and it's because of the lack of worker protections that we don't.
I don't think it would make sense to caucus with the Republicans.
And liberals went off when they heard Sinema ditch the Democrats. AOC tweeting, "People deserve more." A GQ writer with "She would be so much happier running a burlesque-themed knitting store." And former MSNBC host Keith Olbermann writing, "You are ethically unfit to continue serving as a United States Senator."
Overhouse gets ants.
Love women supporting women, and Keith Olbermann
ants suck.
Detested in my book. But I want to go to you on this one, Jason, because you
not your liberal aunt though.
With her.
Yep.
Now, this was interesting to me that she chose to change to an independent, but a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle are saying she did this to escape what would be a difficult Democrat primary challenger, and she kind of did this as a cop-out. Do you think this was a politically sound strategy for a senator coming from a purple state like Arizona? Is this going to work out for her?
Well, look, I did serve with her in the House of Representatives.
Rhinos.
Along with her wonderfully. I think she truly is independent-minded, and I'm
a glutton for punishment, apparently.
But I think more than ever, this seat now will go to Republicans in 2 years.
I was explaining to Curiouser how much I really enjoyed C-SPAN call-ins. Because like there was intelligent conversation being had on C-SPAN, but also you got the kooky people calling in talking about absolute nonsense, and then you got trolls as well saying like, I wiped my ass with a sock. So it's like all my people. It was wonky policy discussion. It was trolls saying shit about wiping their asses with socks. And then it was like conspiracy nuts and dumb fucks saying really stupid shit. I should get up every morning and do C-SPAN Washington Journal calls. Oh, God. I'm going to be honest with you. When we had Goldie on, I was really wishing I'd made coffee. I hadn't made, because I didn't have time to make coffee. I wanted a cup of coffee. I was just waking up. I had not had a cup of coffee.
Because Democrats can't resist it. They lurch so far to the left. They're almost unrecognizable to the general public. They field a candidate as a Democrat. She runs as an independent. And guess what? That splits the vote, and a Republican can then go in and win that majority. I don't think she can be reelected as an independent with a Democrat on the ballot in Arizona. I don't think that would happen.
And Harris, you spent some time.
I agree with him on that one.
In a much different political time in 2016, speaking to her and talking to her about what she plans to do. Did you get the sense from her that she was a solid Democrat, or was she more independent? You know, liberals right now are saying she's a Republican, she acts like a Republican. They've completely written her off.
They don't like her because they couldn't control her.
Right.
And they don't have a lot of love for Manchin either of West Virginia, who's also independent-minded.
Well, it's not about like controlling them. It's that they like, you know,
so it's getting
tank the Democratic agenda.
Pull this dance move. This is specific to her. And yes, back in late 2015, early 2016, 538 group looked at her and said she voted in line with what would be Trump policies north of 50%, close to 60% of the time. So this is something that she's been doing all along, being independent on certain issues. It works in Arizona for this reason. Yeah. Arizona has a lot of Californians that have moved in now. All those U-Haul trucks that California can't get back. And because of that, right? And because of that, she is going to have to be different.
What does that even mean?
At the border, she did some. So, but she did more than, I mean, Mark Kelly, the Democrat who ran for Senate, had to be dragged down there. I mean, the polls had to show that it was time. So she does have the ability to run that way. I agree with Jason. I think the seat goes to a Republican if it's up against her. I don't think the Democrats are going to pour money behind her.
I don't think so either, but I think that this is a strong move to say, I'm not ride or die Democrat. Do you know, I know that you are a View watcher. I know that you watch it. I know that you watch it weekdays.
Every day.
So you're familiar with this clip, but just in case those of you out there don't watch The View, let's take
The View.
I want to get View watcher Giano's take on the other side.
This party has nothing. They have nothing, no platform, nothing. All they do is hang out with Nazis and white supremacists. The other party actually is doing something for people like us, they're working families, for gay people, for voting rights. And then she's like, what should I do?
What's bizarre is that, you know, Democrats voted for a Democrat. And they didn't vote for an independent. So for her to now say, this is always who I've been, well, she should have said that from the beginning. I don't think just changing her.
That's a good point, Mox. They may support her.
You're now one of
But the Arizona Democratic Party had already been talking about primarying
I'm not a
her,
watcher,
so.
but I do see clips here
You've
and
been on
there.
it. You've been
you know,
on
I have been on The View. I love the ladies. You know, Joy and I are besties. I'm seeing her later. Just kidding.
I'm hallucinating right now.
Yeah. Women supporting women, but now they're saying, Kirsten Sinema, you know, it's okay if we follow you into the bathroom. It's okay if we intimidate you. Keith Olbermann saying that you are politically unfit, morally unfit. They turn on her on a dime. Is this the Democrat?
I don't think anybody turned on her. I think everybody was pretty pissed at her for years.
And hats off to them, because they'll run off an elected official that they actually need in their party. They'll run off Democratic voters. And if Republicans were serious about winning, they should hire progressive activists that are going to go harass Democrats because they're not woke enough. This is where we've come to in America, and it's such a shame that folks cannot give their viewpoint, have some independence from their party. I'm a conservative. But if conservatives do something that I don't like or moves away from that particular ideology, I may not support them or I'll call them out. That's where we should be as a country. But they want somebody that's going to be married to the Democratic Party and do whatever Joe Biden says. And that's the wrong move. I appreciate her leaving.
I mean, they passed the bill to protect marriage.
Said she's not committed to voting for Joe.
So it was interracial, gay, and Democratic Party marriage.
Love to see it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
That's what was protected.
Subscribe.
Fuck you, Sean Hannity. Oh, shit. I fuck Bongino. We're not doing Bongino. No, I gotta find out if I was right. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. Bongino says things are gonna get ugly fast. What does he mean? He means this is an ad for buying gold. I'm calling it right now. It's an ad for buying gold.
And if they can't distract people with Donald Trump raids, tyranny, and threats of violence to the other side, they're going to have to answer questions about this stuff. What stuff? Take a look at this Fox article. U.S. companies added just 132,000 jobs in August as hiring slows. This is ADP's job report, which is very accurate. Folks, they expected 288,000 jobs. You're hearing now scattered reports, but reports nonetheless of companies.
I wonder why you went back to August month,
starting to lay off massive numbers of people. Folks, there's a reason for this, and this is the reason I warned you about all this stuff. This is not me trying to scare you. It's me looking at the numbers and drawing reasonable conclusions from numbers me and you can both see. None of this is private. It explains why the White House is melting down right now.
Is the White House melting down?
Our economy flows from the productivity number. Productivity is what we produce. If we produce 100 chairs and chairs with a measure of productivity, say the productivity number is 100. That's great. If there's 50 residents on the island, everybody can buy 2 chairs if they needed to. If productivity slows down and we only make 80 chairs and the productivity number is 80, then that's less chairs. And ladies and gentlemen, we measure our wealth by stuff. We don't measure our wealth by how we feel. I'm talking about material wealth. I'm not talking about values and faith and religion. Those are important things. I'm simply making an economic statement. Your material wealth is measured by materials and access to them. So when productivity goes down because work...
No, Sassy, stick around. I've got puppies.
Then you're going to get a slowdown in the economy. Guaranteed.
It wasn't an ad for gold, apparently.
You see why? You think the Biden administration... You think I have some... This is Forbes. You can search engine it right now.
He's scary looking. Yeah, I'm gonna skip all the cop shit tonight. We're gonna do the nephew calling out his aunt. And I'm gonna go eat chicken casserole after we do puppies. I got puppies. So the House passed Respect for Marriage Act, I think is what it was called. And as they were passing it, a Republican representative proceeded to cry on the floor of the House. So we're going to go to, I believe it's Ali Velshi, had on the gay nephew of the representative who cried on the House floor.
The landmark Respect for Marriage Act is on its way to President Biden's desk after the House advanced the bill. 39 Republicans joined all Democrats in supporting the measure, which provides federal protections for same-sex and interracial marriages whose security is now under threat from the Supreme Court. In his opinion, ending a woman's right to choose, Justice Clarence Thomas said that the right to same-sex marriage and even same-sex relationships should be revisited. That's well out of step with most of what Americans think on the precipice of 2023. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin, who is the first openly gay member of the United States Senate who introduced the bill in the upper chamber, attributed its bipartisan support to the visibility of the LGBTQ community.
I think about, as someone who's been long a part of the LGBTQ community, about how progress is made, and so much of it has to do with visibility and people knowing.
Yes, Sinema is very visible.
Knowing, which replaces myth and stereotype, if you will.
Okay, so hold that thought for a second. So many people knowing our families, and that replaces myth and stereotype. Okay, hold that for a second. Yesterday, 169 Republicans, like 36 of their Republican colleagues in the Senate, voted against those families, including the Republican Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler of Missouri, who made headlines for crying on the House floor. But she doesn't have an excuse of not knowing these families or the LGBTQ community, because a gay person is part of her own close family. Here's her nephew, Andrew, in a video that went viral today.
Today, a United States Congresswoman, my Aunt Vicky, started crying because gay people like me can get married.
I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill. I yield back.
So despite coming out to my aunt this past February, I guess she's still just as much as a homophobe.
Let's be clear. Obergefell is not in danger, but people and institutions of faith are.
Aunt Vicky, that's not right. Institutions of faith like religious universities are not being silenced. They're being empowered by the U.S. government to discriminate against tens of thousands of LGBTQ students because of religious exemptions, but they still receive federal funding.
The bill's implications: submit to our ideology or be silenced.
It's more like you want the power to force your religious beliefs onto everyone else. And because you don't have that power, you feel like you're being silenced. But you're not. You're just gonna have to learn to coexist with all of us. And I'm sure it's not that hard.
Certainly doesn't look that hard. Andrew Hartzler is the nephew of the Republican Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler. Andrew, good to see you. Thank you for posting that video.
Good on you, Andrew.
I mean, you had a big smile on your face, and you made a really good argument about it. It's not going to be that hard for us all to live together. But how does that make you feel, that was your aunt?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wish I could say that I was surprised when I saw my aunt's display on the House floor yesterday, but I wasn't. She actually has a long history of targeted attacks towards the queer community. And from her speech, what really stood out to me was her mere disregard for the power of her words. I think, like, so often leaders or people like in positions of leadership, they neglect to realize how much power their words truly have and that those words have consequences. So unfortunately for my Aunt Vicky, she belongs to this class of politicians that have twisted and weaponized their own faith and used it to target the queer community by framing them as a threat to their religion. And this has real life consequences where these words, there are extremists in our society and people who take things to the extreme, which would result in what we saw in Colorado or real life instances of violence. I also thought it was super interesting that she only invoked religious freedom when it was used to take away the freedom of someone outside of her religion, when that's not what my definition of freedom of religion is. And it would have made sense to me if she was crying as a result of someone having violence enacted on them, but gay marriage is no reason to cry.
Gay marriage is no reason to cry. You actually come from a religious background. You actually had a religious...
That's a T-shirt slogan right there. Gay marriage is no reason to cry.
You come from a religious family, but your parents were supportive of who you are. So you've got some schisms in your family.
Yeah, I come from a deeply conservative background. My parents, I wouldn't say they were very supportive of who I was. When I came out at the age of 14, I was sent to conversion therapy, and then I saw a conversion therapist off and on until the end of high school, and then I went to Oral Roberts University, where my parents thought that I would be safe from any gay people, but actually there was a lot of kids and students that were just like me. But what's actually really interesting is there are hundreds of thousands of LGBTQ students at these religious universities across the nation. And these students are legally able to be discriminated against. So they are being denied admission, denied readmission, being expelled, being forced to go into conversion-like therapy, and they are having a form of violence enacted on them. So after I graduated from Oral Roberts University, I partnered with REAP, the Religious Exemption Accountability Project, and together with 40 other plaintiffs from religious institutions across the country, we are advocating for all students at all universities to receive equal protections. And because when I was a junior at Oral Roberts University, I was reported to the academic dean's office and for homosexual activity, as they call it. And ultimately I was forced into more conversion therapy programs. Yeah. And
I'm sorry, the kitten is
right
fucking with my foot. It
before
hurts.
COVID happened, and then COVID happened, and I kept my head low, graduated, and then I got involved with FREAK. But what's really important to say is we went to school to get an education, not to have our sexuality or gender identity conform to that of the university's preference. And we have to stop funding discrimination.
Good on him. Good on him for calling out his aunt. All right, one more, and then we're going to be outie. I'll play your dog video. We got to get another bigot getting called out. This time it was on CNN. Last week we did the story of a Christian conservative. God damn, the kitten is biting and clawing my foot right now. She's a wild one. Ow! Ow! Kitten, go play somewhere else. Go. She's on my Just wrapped around my foot right now, biting, clawing. Apparently, you gotta go to the vet later this morning. I gotta have you vet ready at 6:45, apparently. Ma'am, ready for a vet visit? All right, last week we did the story of a conservative Christian group in Virginia that had dinner reservations. And when the restaurant really found out who they were, they decided to cancel their reservation and discriminate against them because they're a hate group. The woman who runs the group went on with CNN and apparently got confronted with her bullshit.
Being, quote, free to live out their faith in the public square and in the marketplace, to enhance the value of human life through increased restrictions on elective abortion and greater information for support for mothers who find themselves wrestling with an unexpected pregnancy, that marriage is a lifelong union between one man and one woman. I
believe these are the principles of the group.
For civil society, and that each person's gender beautifully expresses either male or female as God created them, and fighting the false ideology of transgenderism in our schools and workplace. Joining me now is the president of the Family Foundation of Virginia, Victoria Cobb, who wrote this blog post describing the incident.
What up, bigot?
We've been canceled again. So, Victoria, thank you for being here. I don't think that you should have been denied service in Virginia at the restaurant. Similarly, I don't think that the baker or the web designer should deny service to a gay couple. And I want to know if you are similarly consistent.
Yeah, I don't think you have the analogy quite square. So the real apt analogy would be, let's take the baker, for example. If the baker had a sign on the door and he said, I can't have an LGBTQ person in here, that would make me uncomfortable. That would make my team unsafe. That would be an apt analogy to our restaurant situation. Instead, what we have is people who have said, we have a situation where people have said, these people make us feel bad, and therefore our team, our staff doesn't want to be around them. How hypocritical is it that
the first thing I want to say is, you as a Christian, ma'am, what does it say about you and your following of Christ that you make people feel bad? First of all, what would Jesus say about that, ma'am?
spoke a statement in all sorts of words like inclusivity and welcoming in order to defend our decision to deny food service to other people who hold different political or religious views.
But I think what you're saying is that, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're saying that there's speech inherent in the baker or in the web designer, and you're now going to compel that person's speech. Let me stop there. Do I have it right so far?
Yeah, Jack does birthday cakes for anyone. He does not do same-sex marriage wedding cakes. It's a specific product that he thinks is his speech, his creativity. Our courts have said, look, he's an artist. That's creative speech, and we're not going to make him do a certain type of speech.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as a yes. That so far I get your argument. All right. So you're for the baker being able to say, I'm not baking the cake for the gay couple. But in this instance, it's now a Virginia restaurateur, apparently highly touted. You're there for dessert. And she says, I'm not serving dessert to this group because I don't agree with what they represent. It's completely analogous. And I'm all for service. Like if you're a cake baker, bake the blanket cake. And a web designer, make the design. And if you're a restaurant, then welcome in, the Christian group from Virginia. I think you got to be one way or the other.
She didn't say, I can't use my artistic talent to help them. I don't want to be a part of this. She said, my wait staff is uncomfortable. She said they feel unsafe. Remember, we used to use words like unsafe.
I think that's more justified.
Going to get a restraining order. She said, my people don't feel comfortable with these people in our restaurant. That's not okay.
I get it. I totally get it. I'm just saying that if she in the desserts that she was going to make for you was expressing speech, it's the same as the cake baker. Let me back up to the case of the web designer. I know you followed the arguments as I did this past Monday in the Supreme Court on this same issue. I mean, it's incredible, the timing of all of this. So Justice Sotomayor said, hey, if we allow the web designer to not have to design that web for the same-sex couple, for the first time in our history, we're going to be saying it's okay to discriminate, right? Based on gender identity, based on race, based on religion. You know it's a slippery slope argument. I mean, would you similarly...
I agree, Jamie.
...that a web designer doesn't have to make a cake for an interracial marriage because they don't agree with that from their religious point of view?
I think we're stretching the Lori Smith case to be something that it's not. She has a fundamental concern about same-sex marriage. Again, it's not the people. It's I don't want to write speech. I have to literally write content and create beautiful imagery around something that violates my faith. So that's her case before the Supreme Court. We haven't seen a ruling yet, but it sounds like they're going to be favorable from what folks are saying. And it's because we protect speech. It's a bedrock principle in our country. We think that is so important that no one, not even a paying customer, compels someone else to have to say words or write words that they don't agree with. And I think that's the America we want to live in.
Right. Well, I want to live in a world where everybody gets served. I want to live in a world.
I want to live in a world where free speech is the argument of free speech is
respectfully didn't answer me.
Not just used to platform the worst goddamn people.
Oh my God, it's an interracial marriage. I'm not designing a website. The baker could say, I'm not going to bake a cake for them. It's got to be one way or the other. I want everybody to get served, but I'll give you the final word. Go ahead.
Americans want to know that we live in a place that protects freedom and that protects their religious views, but not a place where waitstaff can say, I am bigoted, I am intolerant of other people who just simply believe differently. So I won't.
Have you tried not being bigoted?
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's see what you...
So that was the bigot. Oh god damn, let me give you some puppies. I had some pretty brutal stories that we were gonna cover. We'll do those tomorrow. It's puppy time right now. Puppy's playing with a ball. Stop. Puppy time. You should have a smirch store. Oh my god, Mox. Was it Michael Schmear Cornish? Schmear Cornish? Are these the same puppies? Beautiful. You like playing with the balloon. I don't know. I feel like these are puppies in a different country. Your chihuahua would bark at them for having fun. Oh. Oh, look how well behaved they are. Hey, dude, you can eat. Everybody else was eating. He was just looking pretty. Man, they jump high. I feel like this is on an island somewhere, and I'm getting a another look at the scenery. Woof. All dogs are some of the smartest dogs in the world. No, that's not true. Seen some dumb dogs. I got some dumb cats. Socks is incredibly intelligent, except for the fact that like all of his intelligence goes to like telling me when to feed him. All of his intelligence is about food. Well, it's been a fun show. I'm gonna like have coffee and wake up. I didn't do that earlier. If you're watching on Twitch, you're gonna head over to Echoplex Media. Dave, gonna take real good care of you. I'll be here tomorrow night. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.